We open tonight with sad news. On Monday, we lost one of our own. Our friend David Vogel collapsed and died on Monday night while jogging. He was healthy and in his early 20s, and it really makes no sense. He'd completed his shift here producing and broadcasting, capturing matches, and left with a smile on his face, a fixture, and he was never without. He said goodbye to his friends, and he went home. We expect him any moment to walk through the door, but sadly, he won't. David joined the esports team in January of 2018. He was a great teammate and loved by everyone. He graduated with his electrical engineering degree less than a year ago, but was still able to be coaxed into returning for his master's degree as a graduate assistant here. His influence touched every part of what we do here. He essentially created the role of replay director and made everything we do with our replays possible. He taught just about everybody that role. David learned to direct our shows. He even learned the complex lighting system that we have here and helped us integrate it into the video system. Whenever you see lights move, that's David. His kindness was his calling card, though. When the University of Wyoming was coming down to play us, they didn't have a place to stay. David hosted them. The entire team. Who does that? David. His death is sudden, and it's devastating. It's heartbreaking, and our grief in moments is debilitating. We love him. And as I said, we expect him any moment to walk through the door with his Panda Express and his headphones and make our day brighter, our broadcast better, and eclipse whatever high score any of us set on Tetris. Tetris was his true gift. He is Boise State Esports. So how do we return to the way things were? Because honestly, we can't. It's an overused expression to say that when you lose somebody, you have to return to it, right? And the show must go on. You got to, well, they would have wanted us to continue, right? The show must go on. And even if that's true, it feels like a cliche. And we want more of a tribute for David. We can't bring him back, but we can ensure that he'll never truly leave. He's our friend, and we are changed by knowing him. And if the show must go on, it needs to be one that he would have been proud to be a part of. That's the tribute we can give. We'll do our best and still strive to be better, serve others, and in all things, like David, be kind. I know I will see David again, but until then, we miss you, friend.
Hello and welcome into the Boise State Gamepats Esports Arena. Huge shout out to Doc for starting us off with those words in these very tough time. But as he said, the show must go on, and we will continue it on with some Overwatch here today. 3 games for Boise State. We'll start out in the PlayVS, where the Broncos will take on Oregon State, and then we'll transition over to our newest tournament, the Mountain West, deciding to finally get on board with some Overwatch here in the spring semester. And we'll kick off that regular season with a pair of games against Air Force and then against reigning champ UNLV. I cannot wait to see that one. But first, it's PlayVS. I'm Michael Fisher, joined by Brenner Bear Lad to call all of our action. And Brenner Bear, I think the first question is going to be, it's a mixed squad, it's spring break. What are your expectations for Boise State?
Yeah, with us being on spring break, it's definitely going to be interesting with these mixed comps. They usually play against each other in our in-house scrim, so having them play together is going to be really interesting to see and how they meld together, especially with different supports from each team, different DPS, different tanks. It's going to be a really fun showing for sure. And then especially against these other teams, I really hope to see a really strong showing from them as well, especially with us on spring break. We should be on a back foot, so they should have a better showing, and I hope that we can rise to meet that challenge.
Yeah, not going to have anyone here in the arena because everybody is back at home for the Boise State spring break, so that'll be another thing to maybe keep in mind if we do see maybe some pauses or somebody lagging, because, I mean, we have players from all over the country who are back at home. And the other thing is going to be, it's going to be a test of endurance here for Boise State tonight. We're used to the NECC. We're used to ABC, which were both best of 3 formats. We know that PlayVS is best of 5. The Mountain West has also opted for a best of 5. So we could potentially get 15 matches here tonight, Brenner, which is way more than these players are used to playing. So it's going to be a big endurance test for guys who are like, okay, you know, what do you mean we're playing Assault? What do you mean we're playing Control again and not played? So that is going to be something to keep in mind. But as we said, it's our first match. It's Boise State. All of these games, by the way, will have mixed rosters, not only for PlayVS because Boise State has put all 12 players in, but for the Mountain West, they've done the same thing. And with spring break, it's kind of a, take your pick is who's going to be available. So all 3 games will have mixed rosters. They will not be all blue or all orange for any of these. We'll start off with Oregon State, where in PlayVS, Boise State's been doing a pretty good job. They are currently undefeated. We'll see if the Beavers are able to make a historic upset, similarly just did in the NCAA tournament. But for now, I'm going to be curious to see what the roster is that comes out for Boise State, because it is spring break, as we talked about. Here is the PlayVS breakdown. 62 teams, 7-week regular season, best of 5. It's a Swiss format, and the playoffs are coming up April 24th and 25th. We'll see who Boise State has at the helmet. As Brenner mentioned, that communication, those comps are going to be very, very interesting, because I know Boise State Blue has been using a lot of off-meta strategies, and Orange, kind of the meta, every time they're like, okay, what's meta? Let's play that. So could be very interesting. I think tanks and supports are going to be the ones where if you have 2 off-tanks playing, it could be kind of a disaster.
Yeah, with the Blues, definitely, like you mentioned, off-meta unique strats. I'm curious how Orange is going to be able to adapt to that, because you mentioned they are very tried and true. What's the meta? That's what we're going to play, and that's what we're going to beat them at. So with Blue, I wonder if they taught Orange how to meet up with their off-meta, or did Blue just bring it back and just stick with the meta the whole time? So that's definitely going to be a thing for our opposite teams tonight, if they're going to be able to take capital on.
Yeah, curious to see. Boise said our first matchup in PlayVS. I believe this is actually the last game of the regular season. If not, it is getting very close to the end of the regular season. Boise State still undefeated. They're taking on Oregon State here. It is a best of 5. It is a mixed-up roster here for Boise State. Be very curious to see who is there. Boise State's even gotten a little bit creative here in PlayVS. We've had tanks playing DPS. We've had DPS playing tanks. We've kind of gone all over the place. We've seen some players really stand out in roles that we're not used to them seeing at Boise State, but there's also some players who have came to Boise State in a different role as either a DPS player or a flex player. They got tired of sitting in 10-minute DPS queues. They ended up being a support, and they've actually shined through. So these might be guys who you're not used to seeing playing DPS, but they might have played DPS all the whole time. So there is your standings, by the way. Boise State undefeated. Final regular season game, but Oregon State at 5-1 could force a 2-way tie here, Brenner. So this is a very, very important series for Boise State if they want to wrap up the regular season with that perfect 7-0 record.
Yeah, it would be wonderful if we could maintain it, but with this mixed roster, it's definitely putting a wrench into our gears. And as you touched on, we're having some different players in different roles sometimes, and that can really change things up. I was in that same spot. I was a flex player, and I was like, put me in whatever you want. So you have to have that flexibility, which is going to be the tried and true statement of these games with this mixed roster.
Yeah, and it could be a problem where, if you came in as a flex, you moved to support, you've been queuing a lot of support, and now you're put on a DPS role just because that's what they need to fill. It's something that we're going to have to keep our eyes on here tonight. We hop in, though, to Doc's keys. We talk about never taking a fair fight. What does that mean? Take fights in unexpected places when they are unprepared and when you can have ability advantages. It's all brought to you by Account, whose Identity Trust Global Network delivers real-time fraud prevention, account protection, enables a personalized customer experience for more than 9,000 leading brands and payment providers. If you want to stay safe online, go check them out at count.com, KOUNT.com. PlayVS, a little bit different, though. We will be guaranteed to see 2CP, otherwise known as Assault, otherwise known the most hated mode in Overwatch, soon to be leaving us when Overwatch 2 comes in. We will go Control, Assault, Escort, and then Hybrid, and back to Control, not played for games 4 and 5 if needed. So, again, best of 5, and Boise State has to see Assault, which they very rarely play because Both ABC, formerly TESPA, and NECC were like, we don't want to deal with that. We only play best of 3. So I'm curious to see on Assault what we get. But first, we'll start off with Control. And we all know it's about who wins that first fight because you can snowball from there.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be the kicking off point. If we go back to Doc's key of the game, you want to have that ability advantage. So winning that first team fight, you're going to have ult percentage advantage as well. So going into the next fight, you're just going to be able to snowball them as well. Unless they get that cheeky pick really early on, which can be a huge worrisome. And we might, with this mixed roster, we don't know if we're going to have that pharmacy combo on this map that we saw previously that just works out so well for a Boise State team. So if they're unable to do that, then if they're just going to stick to the meta, we're going to see who's going to be the better meta comp as we see the Boise State team rushing in with the Symmetra. And a quick early engagement. Plato able to take out the Baptiste very early on. Kindredable taking out the Zarya as well. So Boise State already up 2, and Oregon State having to back off.
Yeah, they are going to be able to pick a large bagel on the way out, but Oregon State's going to have to reset. A lot of teams have been opting for the Symmetra Junkrat on this particular map with that grenade spam onto the point plus the teleporter. So be curious to keep an eye on Lum, who currently leads Plato by about 10%. But Oregon State, not only they lose that first fight, they're going to have to push into Kel's Symmetra turret. So they've got to be careful as they're going to try and rotate over. Symmetra set up there, a couple of them set up. Lum very close to that Riptire. Nerdy's going to have the Ant Matrix available if they want to use it. First ult in the game, but they'll hold on to it for now. No aim, no brain, taken very low, forces out an immortality field. Riptire's coming in. As there's 2 down already for Boise State, and unfortunately it's only going to get the immortality field, but Oregon State's going to cleanly win the fight, and they're going to send Boise State back to spawn.
Yeah, Oregon State did commit the tire to that fight. It didn't get any kills, sadly, for Oregon State, but they had a very good comeback after losing that first team fight against Boise State. So now Boise State should have the ult advantage as Ryan just soaking up a lot of damage on his shield after teleporting in. So much just set up a turrets right outside the door, so Boise State's going to have to push through these turrets unless they go all the way around on the left.
So they'll have that Ant Matrix available. It's up for Nerdy and for Elk. So we'll see who wants to drop it first. Might be a good idea for Boise State to throw it down. It's going to come down from Elk first. There's a photon barrier from Kel to try and cut the damage. Shatter's going to miss. Riptire coming in there from Plato. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to find anything, and Boise State will get through the first choke, but now they've got to push into a grab. The Ant Matrix goes down for Dirty. There's the grab, sound barrier countered there by a large bagel, and a photon barrier comes down from Hoth, and Archimage is going to throw down his own sound barrier. Boise State gets the first elimination. Plato incredibly low. He will be eliminated. Quadruple forced out of the mech. Boise State's down basically half a member at this point. Walk has that shatter available if they can break the shield on no aim. Right now, Boise State has not found a way in, and Oregon State's up to 50%. There's a 2-man shatter. There's an immortality field down, though. Going to keep everybody alive, and Guac's going to lose his own life, and Boise State's going to be forced to reset despite all of those ultimates they used.
Yeah, Boise State really committed to the fight, and putting a Diva into a Zarya has always been a crux for our Boise State team. They value that Diva a lot, but not going into a May or something or an ult that you can eat. You're not going to get a ton of value out of that. So unless this Diva really starts popping off, Oregon State looking really good for this first game, especially going into it with 3 ults, and Boise State just now committing the self-destruct, able to take out a Lucio as Watt goes in for the charge and takes out the enemy Rhine. We do see the enemy Junkrat commit Tyrant, able to take out Nerdy, but Plato and Kel able to then pick up a double. The Zarya does clean up the back end of the Boise State team, eliminating 2 members as the remaining 3 run to point, able to cap it, but now they're squished in between the members of Oregon State. As a large bagel then takes out the Junkrat after he takes out Kel, and then gets a double onto the Zarya, with Nerdy finishing off the Rhine.
Yeah, Oregon State, I mean, they had one sandwich, but they just kind of all ran in one at a time, and that's going to hand Boise State a ton of ult charge. Broncos can't afford to lose another fight, though, with the point up at 93%. Oregon State sitting on 4 ults. Boise State sitting on 3, but a large bagel sound barrier should be up before the next fight. So it's going to be very interesting here. Probably a battle between the 2 Reinhardts. There's no aim, no brain, and Guac are both very close to having that shatter. There's the Ant Matrix that goes down. Photon barrier from Hoist going to cut it in half, but there's a great Riptire. Takes out both DPS for Oregon State. Boise State's going to drop down that sound barrier to counter the grab. And that should be enough for Boise State to pick up this fight win as they'll just wrap up the piece.
Yeah, the triple ult or even quad ult that I saw there was a huge commitment by Boise State to win this fight. And I don't think it'll be the final fight, as we're just now getting 90%. So it looks like one more team fight's going to come up, and Oregon State does have the 2 ult advantage real, actually, as Sound Barrier is just now coming online. So it's all down to Guac and his Shatter as the Sound Barrier comes out from Oregon State. You're going to try to collapse on the Junkrat and able to get him after already taking out the Symmetra as well. So with no DPS remaining on Oregon State, they're going to swap over to stall combos. So you see the Tracer come out as well. As Shatter comes out but doesn't land on anybody, but Guac is able to get a double out of it. You see the Matrix come out from Oregon State as well as Nerdy's able to eliminate that Tracer, and Boise State takes the first round.
Yeah, unfortunately for Oregon State, I think it was Hoyth who just got picked early and kind of forced out a very poor Sound Barrier from Oregon State. They kind of had a panic, and there's really not much you can do when you lose a DPS before the fight even begins. It's play versus here. Boise State and Oregon State going on to map number 2 at Control, and it was a bit of a struggle there for Boise State at the start, but they ended up turning it around, and it feels like the Broncos are the slightly favored team here. They just got to make sure they don't get a little over-aggressive like they did in a couple of those fights.
Yeah, they won the first team fight, and like you said, that usually lets them snowball, but that second fight was pretty rough, and even the fight following it. That Zarya into the Diva is very strong. She was able to clean up the back line as well because Boise State just pushed too far forward, and they were just 3-man on point by themselves. They were able to clean it up quite nicely as we see the Symmetra and Bastion strat against the enemy Diva. She's not able to knock him off as he's able to quickly pick off the Baptiste as well. Trying to burn down that right shield, burn down through Diva as well, but we're going to see the Doofus able to take a large big one. Kel takes out the Reinhardt, and Plato takes out Hoyth. Once again, Hoyth going down very early on, and now the Doofus is down as well to Kel. Boise State just really able to out-DPS these Oregon State DPS players.
We've seen this before with Plato on the Bastion. Is if now Boise State wants to adjust their teleporter and put it in maybe the back and let him kind of teleport across the point, could make it so Oregon State really has no idea where to look for that Bastion. So that'd be something to keep an eye on if they want to readjust their teleporters. It's a very aggressive strategy because if they die, they will get punished. If 1 or 2 members die, they will get hard punished for it. As an immortality field already comes down for Elk. And Boise State's going to have that cooldown now to play around with. Shatter's going to come out. It'll land onto 2. Plato nearly knocked off the edge, but he's able to sustain. Meteor Strike comes out. Plato barely is able to dodge it, but Boise State hasn't found an elimination yet. Lum barely goes down, but is able to restabilize. Now finally taken out by Kel, but Boise State's down 2. They get Isaac with a great boop off the edge. Quizzible taken out in the mech. There's a photon barrier from Kel to try and help Boise State sustain. Archimage is going to be able to take down Quizzible. Kel gets no aim, no brain, and now Boise State should have the advantage with their respawns coming in first. And not quite the clean fight you expect from Boise State after that first fight win, but they still managed to get it done.
Yeah, I think another huge issue for this Oregon State team has been Hoyth changed heroes right at the end of that first fight, which he lost that ult percentage, and Lum, who never swapped, was able to get his ult off and then back up to 20% by the end of the second fight. So Hoyth really has to start getting his value here if they want to be able to take this point, because Boise State, even being down members in fights, is able to win. But a great charge punch coming out from Lum, and Hoyth now able to take out Plato with the Sound Barrier coming out for Oregon State and Boise State. We also saw the Ant Matrix come out from Nerdy, and Quinjible's going to use the self-destruct. No aim, no brain on Hoyth, but not able to secure as a boop comes out on Quinjible as well as he came out of that mech. Kel now also getting booped off. Oregon State really cleaned up this third fight and did much better.
That was a great start from Lum to pick off Nerdy, put him in an advantage, and then they got another kill before the Sound Barrier came down. I don't feel like this Bastion is getting near as much value as Boise State wanted from Plato, but he does have the tank form, so he's going to hold on to it for now. You see Lum above the Broncos, looking for a cheeky pick onto somebody. Nobody for Boise State sees him. He's going to jump right down on top of Nerdy, get the elimination right away. Shades of Kevin Durant there for Lum. Now Boise State's going to be down 1. Lum will get taken out, but Guac will fall as well. So Boise State's still down 1. Tank form comes out from Plato. Boise State's not able to find much. It's a great immortality field from Elk. It's going to keep them all alive. Now the tank form takes down the immortality field, takes down Elk before Hoyth will take him out. And Oregon State is in this final fight. We'll see if Boise State's able to pick up the elimination. Kel now on that McCree. He's going to just get absolutely destroyed. Boise State will finally swap off to the Doomfist of their own. And a 3-man shatter comes out from Guac, but really no value there, as Nerdy is the only other person in the fight along with Quinjible, and Boise State's just going to lose members and kind of just wasted that shatter for no reason.
Yeah, it's not what you see from Boise State. Definitely that starting Lum hiding in the back. No one even looking behind them. That's something you got to have awareness of, especially in Overwatch and on this map with the verticality element. Even with how minimal it is, especially with the Doomfist, you got to be looking for it. And Boise State already going up top, able to spot him out very slowly, but the D.Va is then going to push the 2 members of Boise State that are up there. They're able to take out her mech, but she's going to commit the self-destruct as Loom cleans up those 2 members that was up top. So Boise State already down 2 members is going to have to back off before they can even get to the point. It looks like this is going to be an Oregon State round.
Boise should have one more fight. Quintupple's going to throw out the Hail Mary D.Va bomb, not able to find it. It just takes down an Immortality field. They do force Archimage to commit the Sound Barrier at incredibly low HP. A Deadeye from Kell is going to take out Lum, and Boise State somehow flipped this fight. But unfortunately, nobody gets to the point in time. And Boise State's going to lose, and you see the 2 members were there. They just lost track of time. Or percent, I guess you could say.
Yeah, they had that team fight. They were doing really well, but they got caught up fighting, and we saw a Large Bagel and Quintuple try to get to that point as quick as possible, but they were just too slow there. They played that final fight well, but it's control. You got to focus on the point at the end of the day.
Looks like we'll get a couple of swaps for now. Boise State appears to be sticking on that Doomfist. I think Lum probably should maybe give that Doomfist another try because he was a huge reason why. I mean, there's not as many flanky spots on this map as there were on the last one, which he was kind of able to abuse. So for now, he'll go on to that Echo. Hoyth will go on to the Ashe, and Archimage has got to pick which one he wants to boost, as Boise State has a couple of swaps of their own, mainly in the DPS position. As Large Bagel gets that Orb of Discord, Nerdy Bird taken low, and Isaac's going to just apparently roll right off the edge. That's not a great start for Oregon State, but they'll take down a Large Bagel. It's almost a full comp change to the side of the Beavers, and Plato said, you know what, enough of this game. I'm going to go into my McCree that we see him on all the time for the Boise State Blue Squad. He'll pick up a triple, and Boise State's going to be able to pick up this point first, you would think. Except everyone has forgotten about the point somehow for Boise State, and that's going to allow Oregon State to contest it. Now Boise State will pick it up, but they probably just lost about 10-15%.
Yeah, that seems to be a kind of point in contention right now, as they're not really fighting on the point or even so much near it as we saw. They didn't even try to cap it first before the Wrecking Ball even got onto it, but now they're backing up into it as they're down 2 members, as Plato is able to take out the Zenyatta as well. Hoyth able to take out Guac on the Rhine, and then Archmage even able to get the res off to the Zenyatta, but then Plato takes out Hoyth once again, and then both Loom and Zenyatta get a double. Large Bagel able to take out Loom, and then Wrecking Ball able to take out Large Bagel as well. So a lot of back and forth here on the point, yet Oregon State, even having the member advantage, has not been able to cap it, as we see Cal just barely unable to escape from the Sigma as well. Boise State able to stall as long as they can, getting a lot of ult percentage, but we're going to see Valkyrie come out from the side of Oregon State, and maybe a possible another res, as Boise State hasn't really been able to acknowledge yet. And it looks like Oregon State should be able to cap this point, but Large Bagel buying as much time as he can for his team, really allowing for a lot of time here.
Yeah, Boise State has gained at least 20%, just continually stalling on the point. Nerdy will get moved off the edge with a Gravitic Flux going to be committed here by No Aim, No Brain, and unfortunately not able to get an elimination from it. Boise State start running out of members, but now that's 2 ultimates committed on a point that really should have been Oregon State's a while ago. As Boise State is, we rarely see this kind of stall come out until you get to overtime and you're just trying to stall for a victory. Boise State doing it in reverse. Now up to 81%. Oregon State so close to capping it, but Boise State refusing. Finally, it flips over. That fight started at 37%, Brenner, and Boise State's now up to 84.
Yeah, that's really impressive. Even though they were just trickling in, they were able to stall it for as long as they could. Really got a shot out of a Large Bagel, just able to wall ride the top of that for so long, and was never taken down until he went outside of it and got taken out by Loom. So that was really impressive by them, but now they're going to have to win this team fight and try to take it out. As we see the Deadeye come out onto the Wrecking Ball and at least able to eliminate Isaac. The Sound Barrier comes out and the Ant Matrix comes out, so both support ults are gone. We're going to see the Self-Destruct come out, but right into Transcendence from the Zenyatta. So a free flank, able to take out both supports, and then the Sigma, as both Guac and Loom do the suicide off the edge together. Wrecking Ball the last one, but it seems Boise State has that focus, able to take him out a lot quicker than Oregon State was. So they recap the point. Now the pressure is on for Oregon State now that they never even made it to 50%. And Boise State is about to cap it.
Boise State threw all 6 of their ultimates into that fight. And if it wasn't for Hoyt getting picked right as he threw down Bob, there might have been a chance for a decent recontest here from Oregon State. Instead, they're going to have to do it with just the Valkyrie available from Archimage. Boise State dropping low. They get a double boop off the edge from a large bagel. Deadeye comes out, wanting the brain on to Archimage. If Boise State's going to be able to wrap this one up. Took them 6 ultimates, but they'll get it done. And it was a great stall, honestly, by Boise State to put them in this position as they'll just start to take care of the remaining members of Oregon State. They come nowhere close to the length of Boise State's stall, and Boise State picks up a map #1 win here in PlayVS with quite the interesting strategy.
Yeah, that's definitely a first that we've seen there is just all-out stall when even after you lost the point, but it's definitely going to be this boop from a large bagel for the play of the game.
This really guaranteed that Boise State was going to win in overtime. Hoyt was rushing back in, even switching to the Soldier for the extra mobility. And honestly, just a great job by Boise State. Won't be the greatest game to look at in terms of stats because they were just honestly throwing themselves at the point over and over. But as we said, that started at 37%, and Oregon State didn't flip it until 84. An excellent stall by Boise State. Well, you don't want to miss this 3v3 Overwatch Showdown presented by the Idaho Army National Guard. Broadcast live from the BSU Esports Arena. It's a perfect opportunity to win some prizes, shatter your friends, and ask the Army National Guard about how they can help you get an education in gaming and interactive media, with the finals held live on Saturday, April 16th. Now we go on to the unique portion of the PlayVS series. It is map 2, and it is Assault. So, I mean, we'll see if it plays to its snowballing nature, if it plays out to its more stalling nature like we've seen in the past, where we've seen teams struggle to even capture the second point. And right now, Boise State is trying to go to 7-0, but there are several teams, including Oregon State, who they're playing right now, that are breathing down their neck at 5-1. And that's not something Boise State wants, is to get caught up in that tie. They've already beat North Texas. Now they're trying to beat Oregon State. But we're on to Assault. I wouldn't say Boise State had a great advantage, Brenner, winning those first fights on Control. So we'll see if they're able to snowball as hard on Assault as maybe we thought they would on Control.
Yeah, I really hope we see that stall technique actually come out again for these Assault mats, as you previously mentioned. These can be stalled out for very long. And with how long they were able to stall out that final point on Control, would be quite a sight to see, because they were trickling in, and Oregon State didn't really have maybe the communication or the executability to take out a large bagel as he was just zooming around the top, or even the previous members that were just trickling in, getting, you know, that 5% before they died. But they did very well there. I don't know if that was a strat that this mixed roster has in their back pocket, but it worked out very well for them.
Yeah, I thought it was an excellent idea by them, kind of like, oh, we were not going to win the fight, but we can definitely got maybe, I mean, I'm sure they were hoping for 10 to 20%. I didn't think they thought they were going to get close to 50%. But I do think for Oregon State, it just feels like the 2 DPS players for the Beavers, Hoyt and Lum, they just really haven't had a comfortable pick. Hoyt has been all over the place. I mean, he's almost played every single character available to him. And I thought Lum did really, really well on that Doomfist. I would have loved to have seen him run it back, and he instead opted for the Echo. And I think we saw one duplicate that entire game, and it got almost no value. So I would love to see Lum go back to that Doomfist, maybe pick on that Boise State back line. He got a couple of great eliminations, I think one onto Nerdy and one onto a large bagel where just Boise State wasn't ready for it. And that's what I would like to see for Oregon State if they want to win Assault, is put their DPS on more comfortable heroes, maybe not just meta, because right now nothing's working for Hoyt, and Lum's been in hit or miss.
Yeah, Lum on that Doomfist was fantastic. Out on Temple of Anubis, he can work here because we saw him do those sneaky strike, get behind the team, and just able to wipe out both DPS players, because not even Nerdy on that Baptiste was able to spot him with her controlled jump boots. So that is something definitely Boise State will have to keep an eye out for if he goes back to Doomfist. Hoyt really needs to find that hero that he is best with and stick to it, rather than jumping back and forth between every single DPS in the game. As we do see blue team running out to the point. We did see an Ana there for a second, so we are going to see kind of a held back team maybe play. Hopefully an Ashe as well.
See the roster here for Boise State, as we mentioned, PlayVS all 12 Broncos, both on the blue and orange team, eligible to play. Boise State likes to mix and match the roster. I mean, mainly on availability this week, with it being spring break. So that is your roster: 4 from the blue team, 2 from the orange team. Quidgible is a tank. Quell has been playing DPS. He's usually a tank for the blue team. He's been playing it quite well. We'll kick things off. There is the Ana that you spotted, Brenner, and they've got to watch out for Hoyt, who's now on another hero he has yet to play. It is that Widowmaker, as we saw there. No aim, no brain, trying to jump in. Wasn't quite able to get up there. The Winston's having a battle for Primate's superiority, and neither of them is going to be able to find. Archimage takes a couple of headshots there for Plato. Dynamite burns him down, but Hoyt gets the first elimination onto Kel. Plato not quite able to find him yet, and Hoyt putting a lot of pressure onto Boise State. Rez does come out. We've got a sleep onto No Aim, No Brain, and Plato said, you know what, nice sniper, but I'll do it just a tad better. Because Boise State just line of sighting so hard that Widowmaker's not getting any value.
Yeah, Hoyt really needs to find this hero that he's going to be able to capitalize on, and Loom on this Echo was trying his best to disrupt the Ana on that top left ledge, but was unable to secure the kill there, and then allowed Nerdy to get the res off as well. So Boise State able to capitalize on this choke point of Temple of Anubis so far, and taking out Hoyt on that Widow was very good. Plato just simply out-sniping him so far, able to eliminate members so early on. He eliminated that Brig with the Dynamite as well, as this monkey battle has been going on. But Guac really feeling at home on this Winston so far, able to disrupt as much as he can, falling almost to 50 HP, but still survives and gets the Nano going back in right onto the back line of Oregon State, and even has Primal at the ready, takes out Brig once again, who's all by herself, as the Ana's all the way up front fighting, gets eliminated with Guac again, with Quintuple beating the one-on-one Zarya, and then he's even able to eliminate Lum at the end. Oregon State not really playing that tightly close together, as Archmage swaps over to the Mercy.
I was going to say, it feels like if they want Lum to be on that Echo, he's going to need a Mercy pocket, especially going in to both an Ashe and a Winston. So they'll make that swap. The duplicate is available to get the res onto No Aim, No Brain, so they can continue their push instead of waiting those 5 seconds. A grab is up for Isaac, so Boise State's got to be careful whenever that comes out, and the grab will immediately be thrown down. Boise State will counter with their own grab. Basically, all 12 players are on top of each other, as Quidgible's going to be able to get the first one. Guac gets antied, has the Primal Rage, able to heal back up to full. As Kel's Whip Tower was taken out there, Nerdy's able to get the res, and then Plato gets eliminated there by Hoyt, who's had a great advantage up on that high ground there, but hasn't had anything in terms of pushing the point. As Boise State's going to try and run away, Kel will be able to take down Hoyt before he loses his own life, and Lum now, Antes has to fall back, and Oregon State's probably going to retreat there. There's a Nano that's going to go on to No Aim, No Brain. He's also got the Primal Rage available. He's starting to pop off there just a little bit. Guac is caught out in a very unfavorable spot. He's trying to get a pick on a healer, dies meters in front of a health pack, and now Boise State's starting to lose this point here. That was a great Nano onto the Monkey for Oregon State.
Yeah, Guac holding off the 3-man backline was good, but he needed to find the point with his supports and get that healing that he so desperately needed. And Oregon State, after Hoyt got that Plato pick, was taken out, but then got the res from Archmage and was able to support his team from the up top as well. And now he's swapping over to the McCree, so hopefully he'll be able to hit a little bit more shots, as Kel now swapping over to the Widow.
He has a little bit of a more advantage, as at least, Oregon State has to push into him, where Hoyt never really could get a vantage point on the actual control point, but Kel will be immediately taken out. Boise State's going to commit the Valkyrie and the Nano, as Guac has been Nano. He's close to the Primal Rage, where Rez is going to come out. We'll be back to a 6-on-6, but a Plato will immediately go down. Primal Rage has been popped by No Aim, No Brain. Guac will use his as well, but he's been antied. Boise State's going to pick up 2. Both teams now down 2, with Boise State without a DPS, but they do have the defender respawn advantage, so they're going to be able to get back to the point just a little bit quicker. A large Bagel living on a sliver of HP. Looks like he's going to be able to survive, as both tanks go down for Oregon State, and Boise State will survive the early deaths and send them retreating.
Yeah, Boise State pulled that fight together. I really am proud of Kel swapping over to that Tracer, even after getting rezzed. He was able to get a little bit more damage in before he was taken out again and swapped over. I think he'll be able to capitalize with this Tracer a lot better, as Oregon State now has their own Tracer and Archmage on the Brig. So a bit more close fighting team here. Should pay off for them, especially with how they've been kind of unable to secure a lot of these kills, as Large Bagel, as you mentioned, was just on 1 HP for the longest time. We're going to see Plato do his own Doomfist backshots, but he goes right into the pole and misses the hit. The grab does come out from Oregon State, and with the Pulse Bomb able to pick off both supports of Oregon State, or Boise State. So even though they do have the defender spawn advantage. 4 members still on the point, so things looking good for Oregon State. They get the second pip. So now Boise State has to go over to full stall combo. So we see the Nano come out. They do have grab as well, so they should be able to hold this on as Deadeye is now coming online for Oregon State as well. We do see No Aim, No Brain asleep off to the side with the Nano just coming online as well, but Boise State able to push them back and save their grab as well.
Plato will get pushed off as Boise State maybe got a bit too aggro. It's only the grab up for Boise State. They've got to go into a Nano and a Deadeye, and there's the grab that's going to come out. Boise State needs to wrap this one up quickly. They're going to be able to take down 3. The Nano goes out onto Isaac, but I don't think it's going to be enough, and that's exactly what Boise State needed because there was 2 ults coming up soon for Oregon State. They'll take down 5, and now the Beavers have 2 more chances here in the final minute to try and cap this point.
Yeah, Guac actually was the main person to capitalize on that grab for his team. He was able to just dash right in with his grapple and then slam down as well and just get a ton of damage. We saw him secure the double kill out of that, but he definitely got credit for all of the people in the grab with how much damage he was outputting, and now he even has mines available. So with the ults being 2 to 3 for Boise State, as mines come out through the transition, too many of them land up high. Guac tried his best, but has to pop shield to stay alive, now falling to about 2/3 health. We're going to see Plato able to win the 1v1 against Archmage, who's just been kind of separate from his team the whole time, as Plato then eliminates the other support. And a large bagel even able to eliminate No Aim, No Brain. Guac once again winning this 1v1 against the Zarya, constantly outputting so much damage. He's probably even out damaging some of the Oregon State DPS at this point. Hoyth is finally able to take out Kel as it seems one of his very first eliminations in this game. He has not been able to secure this DPS role as securely as, say, Plato or Kel.
Last chance here for Oregon State to at least full cap and prevent Boise State from being able to win on their turn to push. And Oregon State's first got to get close to the point. No Aim, No Brain's going to jump in, but the Beavers are already down 3 before overtime even begins. Lum does get one onto Quitchable, but that's about the only thing going the way of Oregon State as the Primal Rage has been popped. The Monkey we've put to sleep. Pulse Bomb gets one more. Lum doing everything he can to keep his team in the game, but he does eventually get taken out. No Aim, No Brain trying to stall down on the point. He will be punched to death by Kel, and nobody from Oregon State's even going to get close enough. The Deadeye gets one at the end just for fun, and Boise State set themselves up with a chance here to win on our second map and put themselves on match point.
Yeah, you really got to feel bad for Oregon State as a Large Bagel and Lum were trying their best. They got onto the point and stalled for as long as they could. Large Bagel had to pop that Primal Rage to stay alive, and he stalled for as long as he could. But with no team to back him up and no speed, Hoyth even decided to stay on the McCree with the Deadeye that he didn't even use in that last fight. You really got to think, what can Oregon State change up to just prevent Boise State from snowballing here?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what comp Oregon State wants to come out with. I mean, Lum has been pretty spectacular on a lot of things he's played. I would guess that Symmetra will be just for a teleporter. I would be shocked if he's going to stay on it the whole time. And No Aim, No Brain has been doing a fantastic job as well. It's just a lot of pressure's got to be on Hoyth to be able to find some DPS that he can that is going to get value for the side of Oregon State. For Boise State, you would think maybe setting up for an Ana here for the Nano Blade. As Nerdy's the only one not to pick, but instead they'll just go with pretty standard all across the board and then just a little bit of flair. There we go. There's the Ana, as I say. Genji without an Ana, that is a risky endeavor if you're not participating in the All Genji League.
Yeah, Hoyth and Loom are going to have to keep an eye out for both Plato and Kel, as Kel was hitting a lot more of his shots than Hoyth was when they were having that sniper 1v1. So it's definitely going to be an interesting showing here as we see No Aim, No Brain trying to disrupt as much as he can, as Guac is quickly able to just counter him out, as so many of the members of Oregon State aren't even on the ground. They're all the way up top, so Boise State is able to just kind of dash into this point as quickly as they want. Plato trying to disrupt them as much as they can. A Large Bagel even disrupting this Zarya, able to get her down to half health before she is healed up by that Ana. Plato able to get as much damage as he can onto them, but Loom is able to take him out with the beam, as Quintuple then wins the 1v1 against Isaac. No Aim, No Brain put to sleep as he swapped over to the Wrecking Ball as well. 2 members of Boise State trying to fight around the point with Kel right behind us. Guac is able to take out the Ana. Large Bagel keeping the members of Oregon State back. And after this first team fight, they give up the point.
Yeah, it was interesting that you pointed out. No Aim, No Brain was up right kind of on the other side of that archway trying to contest Boise State, and his whole 5 team members were all hanging back waiting for Boise State to push onto the point. So a bit of a miscommunication there for Oregon State. Boise State's trying to wrap this one up, but they're immediately going to lose Quitchable. Nano's going to come out, one onto Glock, one onto Isaac. Glock has the primal rage as well. If he needs to heal, he's going to end up using it just because he got antsy, and he's going to try and swing those fists around. Gets one elimination onto Archmage. Meanwhile, No Aim, No Brain on the other side is going to take out one. Both these Winstons having themselves quite a day as Plato will get gunned down. Cannot deflect the lasers, unfortunately. Got a duplicate from Lum as well onto that Winston. See if he can get a primal rage off in time. He will, and he'll just use it to jump away.
Yeah, quite an interesting fight as both of kind of the main tanks immediately abandoned their team and went for the eliminations and just becoming the new DPS players. It seemed to work out as Oregon State ends up kind of winning that team fight as Boise State was unable to push onto point. But Boise State now going into this with the not even Nano Blade, but they do have the grab and the sound barriers about to come online. They have the blade, and Oregon State not even close to Bob just yet. Should be able to get it in this fight if we're so lucky. Lum did get put to sleep, but Plato's able to capitalize on it. We are going to see the blade come out as well. He gets antied, but Sound Barrier able to keep him alive. Really good communication on the side of Boise State, able to point that out with the IE healing, as we love to hear so much. Both grabs come out from each side. Yet no capitalization from the side of Oregon State. It looks like this is going to be Boise State's point as they're trying to stall as long as it can with Loom dashing through with the Tracer, and now Isaac swapping over to the Wrecking Ball once again, but it is not enough, and Boise State takes it.
Yeah, Boise State wraps that one up much quicker than Control. They'll put themselves on match point as they're looking to end the PlayVS regular season undefeated, and Plato may be showing Lum why he used to switch back to the Doomfist. He'll pick up the play of the game. Of course, being nanoed helps a lot as well, and he was absolutely just annoying as he takes out a pair here, and it's really something that, I mean, this Doomfist, neither team's had an answer for, but Boise State's been the one who's consistently played it more, and Oregon State's kind of gone away from it after it was the only reason it felt like they won their only map so far tonight. But we'll see if things change on what could be our last map in PlayVS on Escort between Boise State and Oregon State.
Yeah, another huge issue that was for Oregon State in that game was Archmage on the Brig was unable to even try to counter Plato on that Doomfist with his shield charge to try to stun it out. And he was constantly getting picked off by either Guac or Plato or even Kel sometimes. And Large Megal was always there to try to boop him around and disrupt as much as he could. So Boise State able to just play all the way around them, and Archmage was constantly getting taken out. So always being down one support was never good for them. They just need to play really close together because it seems they were always getting spread apart. We saw on that very first defensive point, no one was on the point but No Aim, No Brain, and he stalled for as long as he could. But with the rest of the Boise State members able to just capitalize on him, take the point, all while disrupting the team members up top, Oregon State has to change something for this final map.
Take a look here at some of our replays from our first two maps. As Oregon State at times has had flashes of brilliance, putting Boise State in very, very, I would say, unadvantageous situations. And unfortunately for them, it just feels like Hoyt has been a main culprit in just not finding that one DPS hero that he's incredibly comfortable on, because both Plato and Cal have gotten a ton of value. Lum has done a great job at times getting some great value, and it's just been Hoyt who has kind of put his team on the back foot because Oregon State just doesn't really have that last DPS member who can clean up a fight, as even his McCree play left a lot to be desired. And I mean, if he doesn't find something soon, I think Boise State should be able to wrap up Escort pretty quickly, because it just feels like they're almost kind of up a man at this point.
Yeah, it really does, especially with Archmage getting picked off so early on in so many fights. And we saw just there, Hoyt on the Ash was unable to get a really good bob off. And then, like you mentioned, when he was on that McCree, he decided to stay on it rather than go for the stall comp when they were attacking, because he was holding on to that Deadeye, which he used at the very end after the game finished to take out Plato on, or Kel on that Tracer. So you have to wonder what are his team going to do to try to get him to swap it up or get it together, or are they just simply going to sub him out?
Yeah, and I think that Oregon State does have at least one thing in their back pocket, is that they made Boise State very, very uncomfortable on Control. Now, yes, Boise State did win, but, I mean, it took a very, very impressive stall, offensive stall for Boise State on the last map. I mean, Oregon State kind of wiped the floor with them on the second map of Lijiang. So if we do go back to, if we do get to a game 5 and we get forced back to control not played, maybe Oregon State might have some sort of advantage. The problem is first they've got to win on Watchpoint, Gibraltar, and then on Hybrid to be able to get us there. But hey, they did have map choice as loser does pick and play versus, so they've at least got that going for themselves, and we'll see if they're able to have a strategy on Watchpoint, Gibraltar to crack Boise State, because we know the Broncos love to just let you push until right underneath the bridge on the first point. Our flyby should get us there, hopefully, and just absolutely stall you with that Sombra. We do see Guac now DPSing and Plato's tanking. Yeah, right underneath here is where teams have really struggled against Boise State. So we'll see if Oregon State can find a way to crack that as we kick off game number 3. Boise State on match point. They are going to be caught up all in the comm tower. Boise State's going to take a ton of damage. Plato with that Orb Discord dropping very low. Immortality Field is going to be baited out. It looks like Nerdy and Large Bagel have just switched support roles, but not have changed either. Changed off the support playstyle for now as Maywall goes up from Guac just to try and limit some of that damage. Boise State is taking a ton of it. Nice hack's going to go on to Isaac as Kel's just trying to get close to that EMP. Crowd freeze forced out there from Guac. Is we see right now Boise State really hasn't found a way in. They're just taking a ton of damage. Another Maywall is going to go down. Boise State sustaining. Kel with that Orbit Discord drops to about 50%, but he's able to stay alive. Multiple ults up for Oregon State. Lum is going to commit to duplicate onto the Baptiste. Not probably the correct play as a Gravitic Flux gets used as well. Boise State gets a 1 elimination, but then gets the absolute floor wipe with him. But it took 3 ults from Oregon State to get that done.
Yeah, and they bought a whole minute for themselves as we're just now past the 3-minute mark for Oregon State to push this cart, and they all immediately abandon it as it's the Zenyatta who has to go back to push it for his team. So once again, Oregon State really has to keep an eye on this point, as we saw in the past, kind of can be a problem for them. Now Hoyt going back with Bob immediately gets eliminated by the Diva, and it looked like he threw out Bob onto the cart, but Bob unable to push it by himself. So that's kind of a death panic ult there. Kel tries to go invisible and run across. He does have EMP available along with Sound Barrier. We're going to see the Ant Matrix come out as well as they may wall it off, having to make Oregon State push them right through the Ant Matrix wall. So very good play by Boise State, stalling out as long as they can. Kel trying to get some damage onto that Sigma. We're going to see the Valkyrie come out from Archmage, but gets hacked by Kel as well. We're going to see the teleport come out as he is able to help his team eliminate Isaac on this Wrecking Ball. He tried to get it out. You see the Sound Barrier come out from Boise State, but it's burned down pretty quickly by Oregon State. They're unable to get back to this cart as this Boise State stall comp has just been able to capitalize against Oregon State so far. And Hoyt trying to get as much damage output as he can, still hasn't been able to really be the key DPS player he needs to be. We're going to see the duplicate come out for Reinhardt, but he gets frozen by the Blizzard. Sigma gets low as well. Plato with the double kill on his self-destruct as well, and then a triple onto Lum. Oregon State not able to really team capitalize onto this cart as it's underneath the second bridge of this first point, essentially.
Okay, see Kel's close to another EMP. There's a shatter up. I've heard some people within the Boise State program compare this to basically about the closest you can get to GOATs nowadays with 2-2-2, at least the comp that Boise State runs here, because it's just so hard to crack, and it's not really DPS that does it to you. It's just so much utility with the EMP, with the Blizzard. As an Ant Matrix goes down, you've got the Maywall to get that wall and maul that Boise State has used time and time again. Immortality Field comes down, but Isaac has been lost, and now there's only 40 seconds left on the clock. There's an EMP and a shatter, plus a Sound Barrier and a Blizzard soon for Boise State. So Oregon State's going to need quite the fight. Another Maywall goes down. They've got Gravitic Flux. They've got Bob. And Bob's going to be the first one called in. Gravitic Flux will be used as well. Boise State doesn't have an answer, but there's a 5-man EMP to cut off the Gravitic Flux. Shatter will come down onto 4 of them as well. Boise State's going to be able to pick up 2, make it 3. They'll commit the Transcendence and the Valkyrie to at least get a Resurrection off to try and keep the stall going, as the Blizzard will go down. Ooh, no aim, no brain. Couldn't quite get out of it in time, but he's not going to get frozen for long. Quidgeable does get taken out on that Reinhardt. But time is now ticking down against Oregon State. They're going to have to do this fight without Lum, who's still responding. Archmage will go down as well. Elk will fall, and there's no supports available for the side of Oregon State in what could be their final offensive push of the evening. Sound barrier came down from Nerdy, and Boise State's just trying to wrap things up. You see Guac, he's just camping here. He's looking for a Maywall to stop them from coming in. And unfortunately, Archimage will get around it, but it's not going to matter. And Boise State's put themselves in a very, very quick and winnable position here on map number 3.
Yeah, Oregon State essentially had no answer. Both Kel and Guac, we saw their tanks try to dive in by themselves with no DPS. We saw the great Maywalls from Guac constantly cutting off the team from each other. We saw the Mercy try to use the Valkyrie multiple times, get the res off, but then not able to capitalize with it. So Oregon State just not able to answer this Boise State stall comp so far. And like you mentioned, Guac swapping with Plato for tank roles seemed to work out really well for them, because you mentioned this is the closest thing we can get to goats with the stall comp in that little side room, and it worked out very well. They stalled for an entire minute in that one side room and then won the rest of the game under the second bridge. So if we somehow get to overtime here, there's no way Oregon State should be able to bring this back, as we see them try to go for a more traditional thing. And again, on that final push, we saw Hoyth bring out this Reaper, another DPS we haven't seen him play, and still wasn't able to really capitalize on it.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to think if Oregon State, you know, they were the ones who picked Watchpoint Gibraltar as the losers from Assault. So you'd think they have to have some plan up their sleeve. They'll at least bring out the Sombra to maybe try and duplicate what Boise State did, but with that Reaper instead of a May, you're definitely exchanging a lot of utility for raw damage, but Reaper is very susceptible to CC during that Death Blossom, so they've got to be careful. Teleporter's going to be put down there by Guac, as Boise State's going to immediately jump down and try and take this fight. A good quick stall here from Oregon State is going to be necessary if they want to be able to get us to overtime. As Plato's going to take down one, Kel gets another one. So now Boise State sitting up one. They've got multiple members of Oregon State incredibly low, as Isaac will be taken out. Hoyt is the next target. He's going to try and Wraith form away, but it's not going to matter. And now it's going to be up to about a third to half of the Oregon State team to contest under this bridge while the rest of them respawn. Or Boise State might just win off one fight alone. Lum is there, but he's not in the right position to stop it. That's just, I mean, we saw Lum was above the point. He just forgot where the parking spot was.
Oregon State just has a real problem with objectives, it seems. They always just play away from it and try to go for kills instead. Like, this is not Team Deathmatch or Call of Duty or anything. It's Overwatch. It's an objective team-based game. You were even there by a solo and you just let it go. Even as a Sombra, you could go invisible and just run up to it. As we do see the play of the game from Isaac, it was a very good Mines in that small room, able to get a triple, but Oregon State really bit themselves in the butt there.
Yeah, that was, I mean, that was just a very unfortunate play there by Lum. I mean, and there's no saying that Oregon State even wins that fight. If they do, they probably would have had to stall out for another, I think it was three and a half minutes. So they were far from winning that, but an egregious misplay will end the series. Boise State, a 3-0 win. They'll guarantee a perfect 7-0 record in the play versus regular season, and we'll see where that gets them with the playoffs coming up April 24th, and see if Boise State is able to make a championship run. Well, we are not done by a long shot. We've still got a pair of Mountain West games with the Mountain West Overwatch regular season kicking off here. We've got Air Force and UNLV, and that will be a rematch between UNLV and Boise State of last year's Mountain West Overwatch Championships from Vegas, so that'll be a fun one to watch. But first, we'll put a bow on this Oregon State series, and Brenner, your thoughts for the Boise State mixed roster here in their quick 3-0, plus your Idaho Central Credit Union Player of the Game nomination.
With the mixed roster, I would definitely have to try to give it to probably Plato. He was able to capitalize a lot with these heroes, or even Guac, because Guac on that Winston on Temple of Anubis was very key. Him and Noam No Brain kind of meeting each other on that Winston, and Guac seemed to win it a lot of the time. He had a lot of those great Primal Rages that he was nanoed a lot of the time and secured so many kills onto the support backline of Oregon State. And then also I'd have to bring up this mixed roster played together very well. And we are going to see the player of the game end up going to Plato as we see his Junkrat play on that first control map. His DPS plays were on point, able to get constant picks for his team and even stay alive through a lot of damage that he should have died, which is another huge shout out to a Large Bagel and Nerny on those support roles.
Yeah, and then, he brought out the McCree, which is something we usually see him on for the Boise State blue team in things like ABC and the NECC, a DPS he's very comfortable on, and he absolutely popped off. So a very well-deserved Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game for Plato. Don't forget, ICCU believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like they're helping their members achieve financial success. Plato is your Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game. The Broncos 3-0 win in the PlayVS series. Final match of the regular season against Oregon State. The mixed roster showing up well for now, but there's still a few matches ahead. As you said, we're transitioning over into the Mountain West portion of the broadcast. Their regular season just starting right now. 10 teams in the Mountain West going at it, both in Overwatch and in Valorant. So we'll be curious to see how the Valorant debut goes for the Mountain West. But we are right now more concerned with Overwatch. We'll be back. Air Force, UNLV. Should be a good series against UNLV, and we'll see if maybe Air Force makes a surprising run like we've seen in Colorado State from League of Legends as one of those teams to challenge in the top. We've got Mountain West Overwatch, and it's coming up next. Roster here for Boise State. Be very curious to see who is there. Boise State's even got
really good for this first game, especially going into it with 3 ults, and Boise State just now committing the self-destruct, able to take out a Lucio as Guac goes in for the charge and takes out the enemy Ryan. We do see the enemy Junkrat commit Tyrant, able to take out Nerdy, but Plato and Kel able to then pick up a double. The Zarya does clean up the back end of the Boise State team, eliminate
between the two Reinhardts. There's No Aim, No Brain, and Guac are both very close to having that shatter. There's the Ant Matrix that goes down. Photon Barrier from Hoist going to cut it in half, but there's a great Riptire. Takes out both DPS for Oregon State. Boise State's going to drop down that Sound Barrier to counter the grab. And that should be enough for Boise State to pick up this fight win as they'll just wrap up the piece.
almost at 50 HP, but still survives and gets the nano going back in right onto the back line of Oregon State, and even has Primal at the ready, takes out Brig once again, who's all by herself, as the Ana's all the way up front fighting, gets eliminated with Guac again, with Quintuple beating the one-on-one Zarya, and then he's
gonna just apparently roll right off the edge. And that's not a great start for Oregon State, but they'll take down a large bagel. It's almost a full comp change to the side of the Beavers, and Plato said, you know what, enough of this game. I'm gonna go into my McCree that we see him on all the time for the Boise State Blue Squad. He'll pick up a triple.
Come out for Reinhardt, but he gets frozen by the Blizzard. Sigma gets low as well. Plato with the double kill on his self-destruct as well, and then a triple onto Lum. Oregon State not able to really team capitalize onto this car as it's underneath the second bridge.
Welcome back into the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. We transition now to the Mountain West portion of tonight's broadcast in Overwatch. The Mountain West deciding with some pushing from, I believe, UNLV is what I've been told, to get back the Overwatch regular season that we saw last time in the spring that ended with UNLV 3-1 victors over Boise State in Las Vegas. And Boise State's going to want their revenge because what better way to kick it off than with having the two best teams from last semester face each other. It is Boise State. It is UNLV. For UNLV, roster looks almost the same, Brenner. It is 5 of the 6 players who are in Vegas hoisting that trophy that are going to be on this UNLV squad tonight. There will be a couple name changes for those who are looking for Kevin Durant. I've now been told he goes by Silk Carpet. I was personally hoping for LeBron James, but I don't make the rules. For Boise State, there will only be 2 players, though. It'll be Guac and Nerdy will be the only ones who have that sour taste in their mouth. The rest of the team has not experienced UNLV, so it's a new-look roster almost entirely for Boise State. And also, Brenner, it's the closest we'll get to a full squad. It'll be the entire Boise State Blue squad, sans Asu. Nerdy will be in for him, so we'll see how this Bronco squad does in a rematch of last year's championship that unfortunately did not go our way.
Yeah, hopefully this game is very close, especially after the very strong showing against Oregon State. I hope they definitely were able to clean some things up from that previous game and really bring it back together. They were able to capitalize a lot, and we saw Guac really capitalize on that Winston, but also get away from his team a couple times. So I hope he brings that back a little bit, and they play a little bit tighter together, especially against UNLV, which we know is such a strong team, as they were just barely able to beat us out last time. So you definitely got to think they got to have some vengeance on their side and want to get it back.
Yeah, speaking of barely, they were barely able to get in a last-minute addition into the Mountain West. UNLV looking to be able to make a run, and we'll see here in this first match who has improved the most from last spring. A little bit of a change in the map order. We will go Control, Escort, Hybrid, Assault, then back to Control, Not Played. And if there's ever a time you're going to see a best of 5, it's probably this series in the Mountain West, because Boise State and UNLV have elevated themselves to really above the rest of the competition. Now, in League of Legends, we've seen Colorado State go from a nobody to a Mountain West champion this semester. So who knows what we're going to see from the rest of the Mountain West. But this is the 2 teams going into this tournament. You expect to see each other in the championship, and what a better way to kick it off. And I cannot wait to see who gets the advantage. I mean, does Boise State maybe press a little bit too much, as he said? This is a newer roster for the most part. It's only Guac and Nerdy who were on that stage in Las Vegas taking the loss in last spring's championship. And I'll be really curious to see either this new look Boise State roster against the tried and true UNLV, who is 2-time Mountain West Overwatch champions, if they can get it done.
Yeah, it's really going to put the pressure on for Boise State. And like you mentioned, we may even face each other again in the championship. So you have to think, do we want to pull out all the stops for this first game? Or do you want to try to put it up halfway and keep some pocket strats for yourself? Or do you just show Nova, play just the meta, and try to beat them at that? And with our Boise State Blue squad, we know they have a lot of unique off-meta strats for a lot of these maps, especially on Kings Row for our defense. So you have to think, if they're going to bring that out, how is UNLV going to answer that? And if it does beat them, if we go to the championship game, how are they going to answer it again, because they know they're going to face it again? So a lot of things are going to come in here for the mentality of both teams.
Yeah, and the one thing that will be interesting is that for Boise State, I mean, while Nerdy was on the team last year, hasn't been on the blue team as much this year. I mean, that could maybe throw something off, because there is that one new player. It's not your full blue squad. So it's going to be interesting. I cannot wait to see it. But we'll kick things off, of course, with Doc's keys to the game. We always talk about never take a fair fight. What does it mean? Take fights in unexpected places when they are unprepared and when you can have ability advantages. It's all brought to you by Count, whose Identity Trust Global Network delivers real-time fraud prevention, account protection, and enables a personalized customer experience for more than 9,000 leading brands and payment providers. If you want to stay safe online, go check them out at count.com. And that's the one thing that I'm going to keep an eye on is, I mean, yes, it wasn't the full Boise State squad. There were some guys who maybe weren't on their traditional roles like we'll see them here. But Lum was excellent on that Doomfist. And if anyone knows anything about UNLV, it is that Kevin Durant is maybe one of the best Doomfist players you will ever see. He single-handedly has destroyed Boise State back-to-back years on that Doomfist. He is always kind of the one taking those unfair fights on that Boise State backline. So he now goes by Silk Carpet, and if Boise State doesn't have an answer for him, he's going to show you the world. You're just going to be back in your spawn.
Yeah, and that's going to be kind of a huge weight to carry for the actual support players of Boise State, because as we saw on the previous matchup against Oregon State, neither Nerdy or a Large Bagel even checked the rear for when Lum had that great flank So it's really going to come down to, can they have the knowledge and awareness for that Doomfist if he even does play it on this first map? As we go into control, I'm curious what the roster is for both sides, if they went kind of more of the traditional meta or something they are more comfortable with off meta to try to throw UNLV off their game. We do see Orion and Zarya for, I think, both sides. We do see the Symmetric Teleporter come out for one side.
Listen, Orisa, it looks like.
Yeah, Orisa and the Bat from both sides. We do see the Lucio, the Doomfist on the blue, which is Goblin this time.
The Silk Carpet's also on the Doomfist, so both of them going to bring it out, and we'll immediately open up with a pause.
We'd love to see it. As we do get a minute to talk about that roster for a split second, we did see the McCree versus the Symmetra, and then both the Doomfists. I like McCree going into Doomfist a lot more than Symmetra, but she does have those turrets that apply the slow to the Doomfist, which allow for the other teammates to be able to capitalize on it. So a good matchup on that end. We saw both supports pretty much mirroring each other, and then we saw the Orisa and the Zarya, which is a very interesting matchup because Orisa is able to counter Doomfist a lot better than Zarya is. Yes, she has bubble and can save a teammate, but with those long cooldowns versus the Halt, you have to wonder who's going to play each side. Are you going to try to focus down the tanks and take her out with the double shield, or are you just going to go straight for Zarya and go for the raw damage aspects? So both of these starters seemed really interesting.
Yeah, and it's going to be very interesting for the fact that, I mean, for UNLV, this is basically the same roster. We said 5 of the 6 players are the same. For Boise State, it's a whole new look roster. So for UNLV, you can kind of scout some of their tendencies. For Boise State, I mean, yes, this team's been together for a while, but UNLV's never played them as we're able to get back into the game. And both teams just kind of cautiously feeling each other out. Goblin's going to jump in on the back line. He's able to get away, but a large bagel. There he is. Silk Carpet making his name known once again. Gets the first elimination onto a large bagel. And there's Wild Wing. He's going to take down Kel, but Guanc's going to get 2. It's going to be a 3-for-3 overall trade, and Silk Carpet's going to wrap things up with one more, and Boise State's going to get sent back to spawn with an Ant Matrix from Lucky Shy Kobe in the last thing.
He got that Amp Matrix very quickly in this first fight. Not even 10% on the board before they were just able to wipe them out. So very good on the side for UNLV, having the point as well before Boise State even got to the 15% mark. And coming into this next fight, Boise State does look like they're getting close to at least a Deadeye and their own Amp Matrix, but that's going to be hit for this fight as UNLV is going to probably get Shatter, Meteor Strike, and the Wall as Wild's able to get a double onto both DPSs of Boise State. So things already not looking too good as Guac falls as well with a large bagel not too far behind him, and then Wild able to clean up on Nerdy with the Ant Matrix not even coming out. Wasn't able to get Deadeye either, so Boise State loses the second team back quite quickly as now UNLV has 4 ults going into the next team fight.
State should have at least 3 of their own. With the Deadeye coming up, there is going to be a triple ult committal Shatter, Meteor Strike, Photon Barrier, and Boise State's just going to say, all right, let's try and reset. It's a team kill for UNLV, and Boise State sent back to spawn on the reset.
UNLV showing very strong here as Boise State really hasn't had an answer so far for this competition. And it seems, like you mentioned, Silk Carpet's going to be the key player you want to watch. He had that Meteor Strike and really comboed it very well with Purdy on that Shatter. We're going to see Boise State try to push with that Ant Matrix as fast as they can. Goblin going off to the side trying to disrupt the team as UNLV's own Ant Matrix comes out. But with it on the point, they're going to get a lot more value out of it as Lucky takes out Goblin. So already being down the DPS member, and Guac taking a ton of damage, even a stun as the Grab Matrix comes out, but Bongo able to counter it out, and Silk gets a double with Wild picking one up. Plato able to take out Wild, but Loki then able to get revenge for his teammate onto Plato. Boise State loses this team fight as well. They committed that Ant Matrix too early on, and with now getting to 99%, I don't think they're going to be able to make it for the stall. It seems one member was able to touch for just a second, but it seems this is a UNLV first match as full stall and comp is coming out from Boise State now. They do have the sound barrier, so they do have a chance here as Deadeye is now used as soon as they get it, able to take out Silk as well. So with a possible star player down for UNLV, Boise State has a chance as Goblin's able to take out Wild as well, with Kel picking off QWERTY and Plato taking out the Orisa. Plato getting one more, and Goblin, it seems Boise State was able to pull it back in this stall comp right at the end, and a solid team wipe from Boise State right at the end there.
Yeah, I mean, that all started because Karma got picked off all by himself way too early, which meant, one, he can't charge that sound barrier, so he's only going to be at 23%, which should give Boise State an advantage, but you do look at UNLV. They're going to have another Shatter. They're going to have that Photon Barrier and that Meteor Strike combination. Boise State only has a Shatter. There's the Photon Barrier and the Ant Matrix to start things out. Boise State will Sound Barrier, but it only lands onto 2 members for Boise State. Shatter misses for both members. Actually, Nerdy will be the only one stunned, but Boise State's still going to be able to take out 5. Silk Carpet gets 1 elimination, ends up picking up another one. But Boise State's going to send him back to spawn. A bad Sound Barrier for Boise State, but they survive. But now they're going to have to win a couple more fights without it.
Yeah, that was a really close team fight for both sides. Boise State just able to win it out with the 1-member advantage against UNLV. So coming into this next team fight, we're going to see both DPS ults come out with Meteor Strike not able to get anybody, but we're going to see Plato able to get the Deadeye as Silk beats Goblin in the 1v1 with Guac able to take out Wild and then Plato taking out Lucky. Guac getting 1 more onto QWERTY, but Silk Carpet taking out Plato, so no DPS currently in the fight for Boise State as they're pushing the spawn to try to hold them back. Reaching that 90% thing, the pressure is on for UNLV to get on this point. So it's really going to come down to can Karma speed boost his teammates onto it, as it seems only the 2 supports are on the point at the moment, as the Large Bagel takes out Karma. So not having that Lucio or the Sound Barrier charge even coming, because he was at 91%. So it seems this is going to be Boise State's comeback match. And they even have the Shatter to stall it out. Boise State brought this back together.
Yeah, I mean, that really came down to 2 huge Lucio plays. Karma getting picked when Boise State had to go for the recontested overtime, and then Karma getting picked on the last fight for UNLV. Not having that Sound Barrier for that last fight for UNLV, probably a huge reason why they lost. And just like that, Boise State goes up 1 in the Mountain West Spring Overwatch Tournament. I will say, you know, as much as I love Goblin, I think he's getting ego checked a little bit here. It feels like he's playing Doomfist because he's trying to stunt on Silk Carpet, and I don't think it's working. I think Boise State's winning in spite of him, not because of him, and I'd like to see him get rid of that Doomfist probably sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we do see Nerdy even swap over to the Mercy as well as Lucky, but it seems UNLV kind of is going for an entire team comp switch, whereas we see Boise State, a couple members still sticking with their picks. And I agree with you, I would definitely love to see Goblin swap off that Doomfist, especially going into this comp with an Echo and Tracer. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Goblin to try to get some of these picks. Should be able to take out Karma, at least with Zenyatta having no movement abilities whatsoever. Early team fight, a lot of damage coming out from the side of Wild, getting his ult just ever so faster than Plato at the moment. I also really want to applaud Guac on this Wrecking Ball. Wrecking Ball, once they swapped it over on the last map, really came alive for them, and that was Kel last time. So we'll see if Guac's able to reciprocate that, as we do see the Baby Diva kill onto Mercy. Didn't go into full battle Mercy stance and just lost that fight. Guac able to take out Karma, and Plato taking out Silk, but then Wild's able to take out Kel. Guac is able to take out QWERTY, but Wild takes out Plato, and UNLV takes the point. So it looks like Boise State's going for the reset here.
It looks like we will get that swap from Goblin onto that Echo now. So both teams nearly mirroring each other, but it's Boise State with the Diva into the Zarya. But Guac's going to start off with a great boop off the edge onto Karma. See if Boise State's able to flip the point. Looks like they're not quite able to. There's a Pulse Bomb up for Plato. He's going to go in, pick up 1. Guac gets another one, and UNLV looks like they're going to be sent retreating in short order. And ever since that fight in overtime, this has been a different Boise State team. They've applied a ton of pressure, and UNLV is trying to find a way back into this game.
Yeah, Kel and Guac on these 2 tanks have really been disrupting UNLV. Once they switched over that Wrecking Ball, UNLV has not had the best answer for it. He's able to just disrupt as much as he can and cause a bunch of havoc. So I really got to shout out Boise State for recognizing that, as they just popped the mines in that side room, disrupting the rotation of UNLV, but Guac is then taken out by Silk Carpet, as we do see the res come out from Nerdy. So UNLV was not even able to disrupt that, as they popped their own Transcendence and Valkyrie. With 3 other ults remaining, they just popped their mines as well on the point to try to secure it the best they can. We're going to see Kel try to take out some of those mines so he can contest the point as long as he can. But a lot of DPS coming out for him, as we see the grab come out and the self-destruct back to back. But it seems Boise State is losing this team fight, as both Silk and QWERTY are able to pick up eliminations for their team, as it is 2-4 on this final point, with Kel just now losing his mech, trying to take out that Mercy. But it seems he's going to be able to, as this Mercy is constantly losing these 1v1s against this Baby Diva. Battle Mercy not having a strong showing here for UNLV at the moment.
Yeah, UNLV is able to flip the point, though, so the Rebels will be back in charge for now. But Boise State's going to try for the contest. They're going to have a Transcendence, and they would have had a duplicate, but Goblin goes a bit too hammy. Will get revived, but it's going to cost Nerdy their life with a great pulse ball in there from Wild Wings back. There's a Transcendence from a large bagel. Duplicate from Goblin's going to go onto that Zarya. That will get just melted through in a heartbeat. And then Silk Carpet's able to take him down on that Echo. Kells, though, doing work, picks up a double, and the rest of Boise State will come through, and they're going to be able to flip this point, and UNLV is going to have a very rough time here as Cordy's going to swap over to that Diva, and we'll get full mirrors as Goblin actually goes over to that Soldier now trying to take down Silk Carpet.
Yeah, I really hope Goblin's able to capitalize with this Soldier now, as he wasn't able to get a ton of value on that Echo, as we saw that duplicate was burned down in about 2 seconds. It was a very sad thing to see for Boise State, as we see most of the UNLV members rotating off to that side point as Slam initiates with his mines as well, getting him on the point in a very good spot as Guac actually mines the backside of his team. And it looks like Goblin's able to get some more value and a large bagel, so a great showing so far for these two players, as Duplicate does come out for UNLV, but it is not able to get enough value, and it seems this is going to be Boise State's game, as now UNLV is going into full stomp with this Lucio, trying to stall as long as he can, but Karma has kind of been the crux of his team on this Lucio, as once he dies, they seem to just fall apart, as we are seeing right now, with Purdy only able to get one elimination onto a large bagel, and Silk swapping over this Doomfist, able to take out Goblin. See if he'll be able to make the difference with this pocket pick.
Yeah, I like the pick for Silk Carpet. Maybe something he should have done the whole time, is he's trying to stall things out, incredibly low on HP, not able to get away as Kel takes him down. Valkyrie was committed by Lucky Shanko. We'll see if he goes for a res onto Silk Carpet, but now both DPS down for UNLV. Plato's got that pulse bomb available. He'll immediately throw it down. It looks like Boise State should be able to wrap this one up. They've got the tac visor available for Goblin. And unfortunately for UNLV, their health bars are just running out, and they're just running out of time as well. Overtime will end, and Boise State will pick up control. They'll go up 1-0 over the reigning Mountain West champions.
Yeah, really got to shout out Guac and Kel on these tank plays right now. They were able to capitalize so much on, seems kind of like the disorganization from UNLV towards the end there. And we're going to see Plato with the play of the game on this McCree on this first point. Getting a lot of poke damage in, and Goblin really came alive once he swapped over to that Soldier. A lot of people don't play him, and I respect the people who do, because he's such kind of a pocket pick outside of the meta. But once he swapped over, he was able to just capitalize with that tac visor at the very end and win that overtime.
Well, you're not going to want to miss this 3v3 Overwatch showdown presented by the Idaho Army National Guard, broadcast live from the Boise State Esports Arena. Perfect opportunity to win some prizes, shadow your friends, and ask the Army National Guard about how they can help you get an education in gaming and interactive media. Finals held live on Saturday, April 16th. It's going to map number 2 here in our Mountain West Spring Overwatch regular season. Just starting off with week number 1, and it's the two best teams from the last time we saw the Mountain West Overwatch series. Boise State and UNLV finishing first and second, with the Rebels winning the championship 3-1 over Boise State in Las Vegas before everything went haywire. But now Boise State's got the lead. We'll go on to Escort, and we'll see what UNLV wants to pick. But right now, I mean, I think we've kind of established a few things. Silk Carpet is still absolutely cracked on that Doomfist, and it feels like Boise State really doesn't have an answer. But the problem is for UNLV, their supports have been absolutely disastrous. Karma got picked twice on that first map, caused them to lose the game, and Lucky Shyko, multiple deaths to a baby diva when that should never, ever happen.
Yeah, the power of Battle Mercy is strong, and he just never capitalized on it, and Kel just constantly able to capitalize on it. Even if he did lose his life afterwards, he was taking out the Mercy. And we saw that on the opposite side of Boise State. When Mercy was dying, at least she was going for the res or something valuable for her team, not just standing there and tanking it.
Yep.
So I really got to commend Kel on those tank plays. Again, I'm touching on it again. Those tank plays were so key for Boise State. Guac and Kel constantly disrupting UNLV even through the rotations and winning those fights against multiple team members of UNLV. And Goblin, once he swapped over that Soldier, was able to get a lot of DPS for his team versus his Doomfist and his Echo. So I really got to commend him for that as well.
Looks like we'll call a bit of the audible here. Looks like we'll go to Hybrid instead of Escort second. But Boise State gets their Kings Row, and I'll be curious to see if Boise State goes for this stall or not. It doesn't look like it for now, but yeah, man, they still have the Arissa, so maybe. They don't usually have the pharmacy in this comp, but I'll see, as very few teams have figured out a way to crack this almost just sort of time kill where Boise State will just kite you in circles, and we'll see if UNLV in the red has an answer.
Yeah, I'm curious if Goblin on this pharmacy is able to get as much value as he did on that soldier in the last map. And we also did see that Hanzo come out, so it looks like the Boise strat is going to try to come out here on Kings Row, even with Nerdy this time on the Mercy, it seems. So we'll see if she'll be able to keep up with Goblin as he's able to get an early pick onto Silk. So already down an early member with Wild, already up to 50% for his Deadeye, which is very good for him. A strong showing as Lucky also at 50%. We're going to see Rezo actually sub out this time for Plato. And a large bagel on this BAP trying to get as much DPS output as they can with now the Wrecking Ball and the Diva for an attacking comp on Kings Row. One of the first times we've seen kind of a more high mobility dive onto point, but if they have no answer for this high mobility up defense, high ground defensive strat from Boise State, I'm going to be interested if they're going to be able to win the straight up DPS combo with Goblin and Rezo constantly raining down damage onto them.
Another elimination for Goblin onto Silk Carpet. They have no answer for UNLV for this pharmacy. I mean, I guess that has to be maybe why they picked the Diva, so he can get up into Goblin's face. Boise State's taken low, but an immortality field from a large bagel is able to just completely stabilize the health bars, and UNLV is going to get forced back to spawn once again. And no one has gotten close to getting to Goblin or Nerdy on this pharmacy. Silk Carpet right now with multiple deaths, not something you usually see, and he is the backbone of this UNLV team, a very talented player. You see him sneak past Goblin, maybe looking for a back flank there. There's a Dragon Strike and a Amp Matrix up for Boise State. UNLV nowhere close to any of their ultimates, as Kel will be forced out of the mech. First minor victory here. Rezo taken low. Got to be careful. Gets a great one onto Wild Ring Bat, but not able to get a elimination. And now Goblin goes down. Nerdy's committed to Valkyrie. See if they can get that revive onto one of their DPS players. As Boise State's now unfortunately starting to run out of time. Both their DPS will come back. A Dragon Strike from Rezo is going to be launched right off of spawn. And it will just come through. Unfortunately missing a majority of the team. Does take Karma somewhat low. Pulse Bomb only takes down the Immortality field. There's a Transcendence. The two more members of Boise State will go down. And unfortunately, Boise State's close hold will fall with about 1 minute and 40 seconds or so left on the clock.
Yeah, one huge issue I saw right at the start of the fight is we saw Slam on the Wrecking Ball jump right onto point and just hold it as the rest of the Boise State members were just up top fighting the whole time. So he got a whole 2 pips by himself before Guac ended up jumping down to even contest it. And as soon as he did, he was burned right down. So Boise State really has to keep an eye on that objective because they could have stalled out for more time to get their DPS a little bit closer. Maybe we could even see that Dragon Strike hit on the point a little bit closer. So Boise State, with this new team comp swapping up with Goblin on this Reaper now and Nerdy on this Lucio, Guac swapping over to the Ryan as well, see if they'll be able to make the difference as Rezo is able to pick out Silk now on this McCree.
Fox gonna get another one. There's a Valkyrie from Lucky Shyko. See if he's looking for a res. The Silk Carpet has gone back to that Doomfist that he loves so much. And Boise State with a quick first fight win. Kel, taken incredibly low, but able to stabilize and keep that mech. Silk Carpet gonna get stunned, but he's able to retreat. And Boise State with the comp wins the fight and gets quite a bit of alt charge on some of these new heroes that they hadn't been playing. We'll see now, single ult up for UNLV. It is that Deadeye. Amp Matrix comes down from a large bagel. Looks like the Rebels will just simply line of sight it. And they'll retreat back to spawn. And Boise State will gladly, once the time starts to tick down. Rezo's now got a Deadeye of his own. Just ain't willing to commit to a fight quite yet. Gotta watch out for Silk Carpet. If he can get a huge flank onto Nerdy or a large bagel, this fight could go south. Deadeye's going to start things off. Nerdy's the first one eliminated, of course, by Silk Carpet. But Kel gets a double with the Diva Bomb. Keep Boise State in it, but it's Silk Carpet once again. And if he's not taken care of, Boise State's going to have a long evening, especially Nerdy and a large bagel.
Yeah, that was a great self-destruct coming out from Kel as Slam just barely missed time to shield flick to the rear and got Wild eliminated while he was using the Deadeye as well, but the rest of the UNLV team was able to just tear apart that Boise State team after they threw out that self-destruct. So really good on UNLV for winning that team fight, but now cost them a lot of ults and a lot of percentage, with Guac now having Shatter as the Ant Matrix comes out from Lucky as well. We're going to see the Meteor Strike come out from Silk, but see if he gets any value. He does take out the Immortality Field, but Nerdy does fall to QWERTY as Goblin and Kel are able to get a double. But Scene Slam takes out Guac, and it looks like UNLV is going to get this first point just barely uncontested as Kel goes all in by himself. We're going to see the Beyblade come out, but gets no value whatsoever. Rezo's able to pick off the Baptiste, but then gets eliminated by QWERTY, and UNLV gets the second point.
30 will get a pick on to Wild Wingbat. Help that ult charge just a little bit on the sound barrier, sitting at 77%. Boise State only has the one ultimate, going into 2, almost 3, and you see Silk Carpet hiding up there. Goblin finds him and immediately has to jump on. Goblin on that Reaper, I know was inspired recently by one of the best Reapers in the world. Sitting at 4,700 as a Reaper one-trick, and right now Boise State has that grab right in their face, but no punish as is around the corner, and a great Ant Matrix force a line of sight. So a great counter there from a large bagel to keep the sound barrier intact, and now Silk Carpet gets taken out. Immortality Field will fall. Shatter does come down from Slamtaro, not able to get any value, and Boise State will send UNLV back to their spawn. And they got that grab out of the way, which is a huge win for Boise State.
Yeah, we did see Silk able to just get Rezo out. I see he was separated from his team, but the rest of the Boise State team was able to just clean up that UNLV team that was off to the side away from their main tank, as it was just the Zarya trying to protect her teammates the best she could. And now going into this next fight, we're going to see 2 ults on each side with Shatter for Boise State and even Self-Destruct close behind. Goblin not able to get any charge on Death Blossom as he was quickly spotted out by UNLV. We're going to see the Deadeye come out for Rezo and Wild, but Wild's the only one who's able to secure kills from it. We're going to see the Sound Barrier come out from Nerdy as well, able to absorb as much damage as she could as the Ant Matrix came out from the side of UNLV, but it looks like UNLV takes this fight, wiping up the members of Boise State.
Yeah, with a huge shatter there from Slamtaro, able to get 4 members. Well, Goblin's going to solo commit the Death Blossom. Does take down Karma, who has that sound barrier available, so not the worst pick, but Lucio should be able to get back into the fight here before we get on to our final fight. Minute left here. Boise State trying to hold. They've got the Bastion and the Ash, and Silk Carpet gets taken out. We'll see if UNLV's able to survive without their main DPS player, and it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. And Slamtaro will go down. And Boise State get a stagger here on the QWERTY. That would be huge, and they're going to be able to pick it up. And now UNLV's going to get one last chance here, and they're going to have 5 ults to throw at the side of Boise State to try and cap this point.
Yeah, this final fight looking very one-sided, but it's possible if Boise State's able to pick off Karma really early on. They lose that sound barrier, and they lose a lot of defensive capabilities to answer on the side of Boise State's damage. And with this Bastion, he's going to output a lot, especially if he goes unanswered. They're trying to get that McCree damage on him as much as he can, but having both the Lucio AoE heal and the Bap heal for passive over time, things are not looking good. We're going to see Silk try to go in as deep as he can as the sound barrier comes out right away. Deadeye comes out as well. The self-destruct coming out from the side of Kel, not able to get any eliminations on the side. The Meteor Strike then comes out to eliminate Guac. It's all down to see if Rezo can even get there in time in this 1v5, but the grab comes out and UNLV takes it with no time remaining.
Yeah, it was a big one there for Boise State. They at least bled enough time off the clock that UNLV will have nothing. So if Boise State's able to have some time on the clock, overtime could be a challenge for UNLV, but they were finally able to get it done, and it took all of their ultimates just thrown at Boise State. And I mean, as you mentioned, Brenner, it's just something that Boise State, they needed a quick pick onto somebody. They got Silk Carpet to about, 5%. They just weren't able to wrap that one up. And so now we'll see if the Broncos are able to full cap and force us into overtime, or if we'll go into game number 3 tied at 1 aside. And what plan UNLV has for this early hold, because Boise State definitely has a unique strategy, but maybe UNLV opts for the copy, but instead they'll just play their favorite and maybe their strongest heroes and just try and go muscle on muscle.
Yeah, we'll have to see as Rezo now trying to meet Silk Carpet on that Doomfist to see if Goblin's able to get a little bit more picks than UNLV when they were on their McCree. So a little bit swapping there of DPS players, as we do see UNLV also matching with their own McCree. So almost a mirror comp here, except for the Zarya and the BAP being the two different ones on the side of UNLV. So we do see a little bit swap from Nerdy and Large Bagel. Large Bagel now going over the BAP. Maybe he'll be able to hit a little bit more shots and seek out Silk Carpet on that high ground as well. We do see Kel swap out of the Zarya to now have the perfect mirror comp here.
We'll see strength on strength. Who's going to win? You have to keep all your eyes on Silk Carpet, because if he gets a back flank on a Nerdy and a Large Bagel, that has been how UNLV was successful. Boise State's going to jump right in. Reza will be the first one taken out. Immortality Field barely keeps Wild Wingbat alive, and now Slam Taro and Silk Carpet going to combine for 2 more eliminations. Kel does take down the Doomfist, and Boise State unfortunately not going to have enough health to survive the rest of the team, so they will go back to spawn, and it looks like Goblin's already going to swap over to that Reaper.
Yeah, it seemed Reza just immediately wanted that 1v1 with Silk and immediately lost it. And then 2 more members fell right behind him. So pretty bad start there for Boise State. See if they'll be able to bring it back with Goblin swapping over this Reaper, losing that about 20 ult percentage he had on the McCree. But with Deadeye, you never know if it was worth it or not, as UNLV just now getting their Deadeye as well. He farmed that ult pretty quick.
See what Wild Wingbat wants to do with it. Rezo raiding in the corner. Boise State's going to jump in. There is that Deadeye from Wild Wingbat. They have the Immortality Field come down from both sides. Blocks the first elimination, but Wild Wingbat will be taken out. Boise State's going to be able to pick up 3, but they did lose 2 members as well. So the Broncos up 1, but Rezo is barely hanging on. It's only the 2 supports left for UNLV, however, as Karma and Lucky Shaiko are both going to be taken out. So Boise State, despite the Deadeye, able to win that one. We'll see if UNLV gets a contest in time, and it looks like the Rebels will just opt for the hold.
Yeah, it seems Goblin on this Reaper really made the difference, as they were just able to push right into UNLV and tear them apart. Silk Carpet kind of off and away from his team and was able to get picked off pretty early on as well. But now UNLV has the ult advantage going into this next fight, with Boise State only having the Shatter and the Ant Matrix with no sound barrier to answer this opposing grab, but it looks like they're not going to get a ton of value out of it, as both Wild and Sickle are able to take out Goblin and Nerdy, with Wild picking up Rezo and Kel. So it seems UNLV did take this final fight, but only had to commit 2 ults out of it. So pretty good next fight for UNLV, as they were able to make Boise State reset.
Yeah, I think unfortunately for Guac, he tried to go for the hero play with the Shatter during the grab to maybe try and neutralize it, since Boise State did not have a sound barrier available, and just that was just unfortunately did not come close to working. Ant Matrix is going to go down. Kel has the grab. He's going to get stunned up. He's going to be forced to solo commit the grab, but Karma has that sound barrier. It's not going to land onto Silk Carpet, though, and he will be taken out as well as Lucky Shaiko. Meteor Strike used there by Rezo, and he's unfortunately not going to find much value and forced to be charged away. Double Death Blossom from Goblin. Boise State going to pick up the team kill. And a panic grab by Kel ends up turning out well, because it takes down Silk Carpet, and when he goes down early, UNLV looks like they just kind of crumble.
Yeah, Boise State really able to see that and capitalize on it. Once they had that grab, they saw it kill Silk Carpet, and both Guac and Kel immediately went on him and just put out as much DPS as those tanks could, and they took him out, and then they started to just steamroll over UNLV, with Guac popping that Death Blossom, as you mentioned, and able to get a double with it. We are going to see the Deadeye come out from the side of Wild and get no members. Sadly, we're going to see the Shadow come out and get no members either. We are going to see a Large Bagel able to get the Ant Matrix, but with 2 members already down, being both the DPSs, surprised they threw it out.
Yeah, I think they just wanted to try and sustain this pressure. Oh, Nerdy's going to commit the sound barrier. That is an ult I think Boise State probably should have saved. As a grab comes out from Cordy as soon as the sound barrier was committed. Boise State's able to live through it, though. And Wild Wingbat will be taken out. So maybe Boise State proving both of us wrong there with their ult usage, as Kel's going to grab at 20 HP and be able to survive. Sound barrier from Karma is going to come out in response, but it's not going to matter. Boise State's going to wipe the floor with them. And they're going to have 3 minutes and 45 seconds to try and capture this point and give them a huge advantage in overtime.
Yeah, Boise State has been playing this a lot better than UNLV right now. They're not going all in on just Silk Carpet because once they lost their DPS players, they were able to hold on until they got all the way back. And then once they got back, we were able to see Goblin just capitalize on it and clean up multiple members of UNLV as we see the Meteor Strike come out onto Guac, and they've focused him down. Rezos goes down as well. We're going to see Goblin try to get the Death Blossom in the background, only able to pick up Lucky, but then Silk and QWERTY take out both Nerdy and Goblin. Slam finishes up Kel, so that is an almost team wipe for Boise State as they were just staggered just a bit too late. So Boise has to reset, but they do have the Shatter going to this next fight, but UNLV also has the Ant Matrix. Maybe if Slam does enough damage, he might be able to get that Shatter as well, as he's already back up to 75% from that single Flame Strike, hitting multiple members of Boise State. The Ant Matrix does go down at the start of this team fight. A double elimination for the side of UNLV, taking out both Nerdy and Kel. But we know Boise State should be able to maybe hold on as we see another 2 members fall for both Large Bagel and Goblin, and then Rezo. So another reset for the side of Boise. They did get their Meteor Strike and their Ant Matrix. Only the Ant Matrix was committed on the side of UNLV. They are going to have their Shatter for this next fight. Maybe a Meteor Strike and even a Grab.
Boise State, I mean, the unfortunate thing with that pick is now Nerdy's sound barrier percent will not mirror QWERTY's grab. As the grab's going to come out, a 3-man Shatter will land as well. They'll commit the Meteor Strike from both Rezo and Silk Carpet. Either will find elimination, and Boise State will just get wiped, and they'll have to retreat, but they did get 3 ultimates out of the way. The only problem is there's still 2 very powerful ones with that sound barrier and that Death Blossom available. Rezo will finally swap away from that Doomfist, and Boise State will continue on the push. They're already getting closer to that sound barrier. There's a great Death Blossom though from Wild Wing Bat. Takes down a Large Bagel. Kel will fall as well, and Boise State has just been completely stonewalled on this 3rd point, and now they're starting to run out of time themselves.
Yeah, Boise State really need to come up with a game plan here. They will have 3 ults going into this next fight as both Grav and Sound Barrier are on the way. Hopefully Nerdy will get a little bit more value on the Sound Barrier. She popped it just too late in the last fight. And now with UNLV only having their own Sound Barrier and an Ant Matrix, it's going to come down to who can ult and get the most value out of it. As the 2-man Shatter just come out from the side of Boise State, and then the Sound Barrier to answer it, as multiple members of Boise State are falling here. Both DPSs did lose their lives there. Nerdy pops the Sound Barrier, but is burned away very quickly as Kel had to commit the grab just to try to stay alive there, but no teammates were alive to capitalize as his DPSs were not back in time for that. And now they have their own grab and Shatter as the Ant Matrix comes out. Goblin able to get a double and triple with the Death Blossom from behind. No members of UNLV watching their butts, and they paid dearly for it.
Yeah, Boise State gets the team kill, and now UNLV is going to have one last chance to defend. They're going to have the grab, and they should have the Meteor Strike, which is going to be problematic for Boise State if they are trying to push on to this point. Last fight, here we go. Deadeye comes out from Rezo. Not able to find anything. There's the grab from QWERTY. Double stun's going to land on the Silk Carpet, but he's able to barely survive. Commits the Meteor Strike, and Boise State's going to just get wrapped up here very quickly. Unfortunately, would have loved the sound barrier for Boise State into that grab, but got burned just a little bit too early once again, and that's going to allow UNLV to hold on by the slimness of margins and force us to a map number 3 with the series tied at 1 aside.
Yeah, once it came to that final point, UNLV just came alive and constantly had an answer for everything Boise State threw at them. That final fight, Goblin getting that triple Death Blossom was very good, but after that, they had just had no tools in their kit remaining.
See the play of the game here from Karma. Transcendency and getting a kill on the Goblin. And Boise State and UNLV, they're the 2 best teams in the Mountain West in Overwatch for a reason. And they look very, very even right now, with Boise State unfortunately dropping on that map on Kings Row. But I mean, I think with Rezo coming in, it ran into the exact same problem, and I really have to wonder what Boise State is doing trying to ego check Silk Carpet on Doomfist. I mean, Doomfist is not in a spot in the meta where we've ever really seen anyone play him. I think we've seen Goblin kind of have some fun on him a little bit here and there, but the fact that you're trying to take basically what it really is a one trick for Silk Carpet, because his Doomfist play is just that much better than everything else, and you're trying to say, oh, ha, I'll do it better. I mean, that is a big reason why, because I think Rezo was kind of basically useless for most of that attack. Boise State just needs to say, hey, let's play what we're good at, not try and play what UNLV is good at and be better than them, because that's not going to win you anything.
Yeah, they tried to win that mirror match and it just wasn't happening. Anytime we saw Silk Carpet die, it was multiple members of Boise State recognizing that he was in that grab or off by himself, and they were able to capitalize it and just burn him down by himself. Whereas Rezo was trying to maybe go in for those 1v1s and onto the sports and constantly losing it against Silk, who is the better Doomfist. So rather than match him on it, why not just play what you're best at and face him where you feel most comfortable rather than trying to meet him on that Doomfist? It was definitely not the best play there. And Boise State did get close, but I definitely think it cost him some time.
Yeah, I mean, because you'd see Silk Carpet would get multiple eliminations. I mean, neither Rezo nor Goblin on that Doomfist really came anywhere close to matching the output. So, yeah, somebody for Boise State just got to say, hey, guys, like, I get that, you know, some of you guys haven't seen UNLV before, and, you know, you hear that they're the champions, and you want to say, hey, look, you know, Boise State's gotten so much better since last spring. Look how good we are, but you just got to take a step back. You've got to let your ego deflate a little bit and say, all right, I'm going to play what's good for the team comp, what's good in the meta, not just what the opposing player thinks he's really, really good at. And, I mean, it's just a trap that a lot of players fall into, but we'll go now, I believe, to Escort with the series tied at 1 aside. We'll see what map Boise State wants to pick coming off that almost overtime game against Kings Row. I mean, we were that close, I think less than 5 meters from the parking spot, and these two teams are still very, very evenly matched, despite Boise State having 4 new players on the roster and UNLV having basically the same one. And I'll be curious here how they find value onto Silk Carpet, because you're right, Brenner, it took a grab onto him while he was all isolated. It took multiple members killing him to be able for Boise State to get value, but once he dies, UNLV does just kind of crumble.
Yeah, it's definitely been like, get this player down and we'll win this team fight. It's definitely been a huge key that Boise State has slowly come to recognize. So if they're able to keep capitalize on it, I see it working out very well for them. And I really wish we saw Rezo swap over to something off that Doomfist, or even something to counter Doomfist like a Sombra or something along those lines that could just hack him down. He has no mobility and you can just burn him down as an entire team. We also saw Guac on that Rhine, who got a lot of value and a couple good shatters in there, but he really did a lot better on that Winston, or even a Wrecking Ball in that matter, as he's able to disrupt the enemy comp a lot more, which I would have loved to see in that final fight. And going into an Escort, you want to see a very close-knit team around that cart, or even one on the cart and everyone else away. But if Silk is able to get behind you on that high-mobility Doomfist and take out your cart member, things are not looking good for Boise State.
Yeah, he hasn't gotten as many picks as we're used to seeing, though. That is the one thing Boise State has done a better job, because, I mean, that was a big reason why UNLV was the champions of the spring. It was just jump on the back line, kill a support, jump out, jump on the back line, kill the other support, jump out. Boise State has done a lot better job, both 30 and a large bagel, of avoiding those picks for the most part. He still got them here and there, but you can't prevent it all the time. But Boise State's done about as good a job as you can neutralizing. He just has had a little bit better value than the Boise State players on Doomfist, and I think that is a big reason why we're tied at 1 map apiece. It is the Mountain West Overwatch regular season, week number 1. Don't forget what's a double hitter here for Boise State. We'll have Air Force taking on the Broncos after the UNLV match, so you don't want to go anywhere. Boise State could be 2-0, or they could be 1-1. We will find out here as we go to map number 3. It's basically a best of 3 from here on out. We'll go Escort, Assault, and Control not played. And it looks like we're going to Route 66, and we'll see what Boise State has the answer for. The Silk Carpet for now will be on that Tracer, but since he's attacking, he's got plenty of time to swap off.
Yeah, another huge thing that we have to keep our eyes on is Nerdy on this Lucio. She's able to get better sound barriers, as last time she was at most getting 4 members, including herself, which is not what you want to see from a Lucio, especially going into grabs most of the time. She either did it too soon or too late, not getting a lot of the DPS players in it as well. So that's something you definitely got to keep an eye on, is that support able to keep her team alive, as we are finally not seeing a direct mirror comp for this map. So I think Boise State should definitely do a lot better with Plato being swapped out with Rezo once again. See if Plato's on this McCree is able to answer Silk.
So for now, we tease the Doomfist. Eventually we'll go over to the Tracers. Boise State's going to go for this close hold in the train car. Not sure anyone in UNLV saw him, as Cordy's going to be the first elimination. Goblin has that Orbit Discord, and Plato's taking quite a lot of damage, but UNLV has not found a way to really break Boise State. They've got Silk Carpet on the back line. Not able to find much value. Kel's now going to have to take a little bit of damage. Orb Discord's going to go on to Guac. He'll be burned down to 50%, but he'll put that shield up. And Boise State's now going to lose their main tank as Karma's going to shoot him in the back as he's trying to run away. Goblin now 1 HP. They land the stun onto Silk Carpet, but he's not able to kill him. And I don't think Plato's winning this one, but a great punch to the face. Unfortunately, the rest of UNLV took down Boise State, and they're going to keep pushing.
Yeah, it was a great 1v1 showing for both Plato and Silk as he was just barely able to pull it out there. But now Silk with the Pulse Bomb and Plato swapping off to the Ash, losing all that ult percentage, and now Nerdy swapping over to the Mercy. Losing that ult percentage this early on when you were pretty high up is not good for Boise State as Guac and Kel also swap tanks. Almost a complete team swap here for Boise State with only Goblin remaining with that ult percentage. We're going to see Guac try to dive in and deal as much damage as he can, but is burned down with no support to really keep him alive. Large Bagel on this Ana trying his best to keep his teammates alive as Plato is able to take out Wild on this Echo, but Echo is then rezzed and QWERTY takes out Goblin. So Boise State's not having an answering for this high mobility UNLV attack comp so far.
State's going to come out, going to go on to Zarya, but it's really not going to matter. Boise State's already down 3. A Transcendence will be questionably committed. I don't think a lot of these support ults have been very well used by anyone so far in this series. We also saw the Valkyrie from Lucky Shaiko, and looks like UNLV should be able to unlock this point. They will be able to do it. And they'll open up the doors with 4.5 minutes on the clock, and we'll see what Boise State wants to do as Guac is now swapped over to that Wrecking Ball, and Nerdy will be taken out there as the final elimination. That's a huge stagger for UNLV, and nobody's able to right now keep Silk Carpet from just bouncing all around and just being an annoying gnat at this point.
Yeah, I'm surprised with no essentially flying heroes that Nerdy went to this Mercy. She has no verticality or really escape from this UNLV comp, whereas they have the Echo to fly around at least and give her that verticality element that she thrives on so well. We're going to see Nerdy even res a Large Bagel as he was picked off pretty early on. At least he has that nano in the back pocket, but with that being the only ult that Boise State has at the moment, we're going to have to see if they're able to even capitalize as well. Goblin's not even able to get Death Blossom before he dies. Same with Nerdy, not even get Valkyrie before she is picked off as well. Boise State not really playing together as tightly as they should be against UNLV as they're just pushing this cart pretty freely.
Yeah, Boise, I mean, they got the nano off onto Kel. That's about the only thing Boise State did, is a minefield is going to get dropped by Slamtaro just to try and limit Boise State's options for pushing. Now, I have to wonder if Plato is going to get picked off there from Karma. What Boise State wants to do with this Mercy. The Valkyrie will be popped. There's a Death Blossom by Goblin, able to get just one. Lucky Shaiko is going to be able to res, so will Nerdy. Nerdy's even able to get a great elimination onto QWERTY with that Battle Mercy. Valkyrie giving that flying ability. There's a solo grab onto Slamtaro, and Boise State finally starting to show a little bit of pressure. They'll take down Karma. Wild Wing back with a duplicate, not able to get a grab of his own, and he gets picked off before he could fly away, and the Broncos able to barely, just 2 meters in front of point number 2, finally win a team fight.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of sad to see that duplicate come out from the side of Wild, and I'm happy to see him swap over to McCree, and Lucky actually swapping over to the Brig as well. That duplicate didn't get a ton of value, but I'm pretty sure he was just using it so he could swap off and not lose that value. So good on UNLV for at least recognizing it, as Wild is going to take a quick nap and an anti coming out onto both him and Lucky this time. Falling very low, but Wild's able to survive with his supports on his back. Slam went to half health, but got back as well. But Boise State having almost 4 ults for this next team fight. They should definitely hold this point as Plato gets a great pulse bomb onto Lucky and Goblin takes out Wild. Those 2 members already behind. They do have a little bit of a spawn advantage with how close Boise is fighting, but with Guac taking out Karma as well, no supports really remaining in this current fight. They're going to try to stall out Slam as much as they can, and Guac is even able to pick up a double onto Silk. Seems UNLV is now playing completely split and is paying for it.
Yeah, Boise State, I mean, multiple ults available, another Valkyrie and a Nano plus a Death Blossom. You see for UNLV, they have the grab pretty close, and Boise State really does not have an answer for that grab, so that's going to be something that UNLV can definitely play around. Nano's going to go on to Goblin. Valkyrie will be committed. There's a double Death Blossom, make it a triple. And Boise State's going to say, that's a great grab. How about we just shut it down? Rez is going to come out. A large bagel will be taken out by Silk Carpet, but that's all the value he's going to get. But going into this fight with a minute left on the clock, it's still, once again, how does Boise State answer this grab unless Kell's able to miraculously build one of his own in time. And he's doing a good job as UNLV is just going to walk right into a ton of his damage. And he should have grab up or a grab on grab.
Yeah, but with these 3 other ults on the side of UNLV, we see the grab come out and only onto 2 members of Boise State, but they are quickly eliminated as Goblins just barely manage to stay alive until he gets taken out by Wild. We're going to see Nerdy able to res Kell as she loses her life almost immediately afterwards, and then Kell is quickly taken out by Karma. So Boise State really trying to stall as long as they can. We're going to see Plato able to get the pulse bomb, but no one's even there to get the AoE effects from it. So now it's down to pretty much Plato to try to stall as long as he can, as only Slam is just chilling on the cart by himself with even mines to deploy to stall it out for as long as he can, with 10 seconds now just remaining. But he leaves the cart just for a second as we see Walk's own mines come out, try to get as much damage. We're going to see Transcendence come out to just eliminate as much of those mines as he can, as Wild gets a double onto both Walk and Kell. It seems this might be UNLV's next point, as they do get it, with Lucky even getting the boop kill onto Goblin, Wild eliminating the large bagel, and QWERTY taking out Plato. We're going to see Nerdy even swap over to the Brig this time, and Kell on the Zarya once again uses that grab. Boise State really got to bring it back together here. With QWERTY now on this Diva, hopefully Kell is going to be able to get that much more damage and get grab that much quicker. See if he'll be able to capitalize on this.
Great pulse ball from Silk Carpet, going to take down Nerdy right to start that fight. Goblin will also be eliminated. Not sure the Reaper has gotten as much value as he would like so far. Large Bagel will also get taken out, but at least Slamtaro goes down. Boise State does have the close respawn. There's a Deadeye that does come out, and Plato ends up teleporting right in front of it. And good news for Boise State, they're going to have enough time to respawn before the payload reaches the checkpoint and wraps this one up. So look at a full contest here. Rally going to come out from Lucky Shaiko. Boise State has a pulse bomb and a nano available. There's the pulse bomb that's going to come out. Kell does get taken out. Nerdy will fall as well, as the nano's going to go on to Goblin. He's going to try and pop that last-ditch Death Blossom. Gets a stunned up perfectly. And that's going to get canceled, that ult, and it looks like Boise State's not going to have an answer here. UNLV, just like on Kings Row, might cap it in overtime as both minefields do come out. Kell gets forced out of the mech. Time will end, but UNLV will get the 3 cap and put the pressure right back off Boise State.
Yeah, UNLV had the ult advantage pretty much that entire final push there and was constantly taking advantage of it as well. Boise State not really ever grouping up and having a solid final push to defend that point. UNLV definitely the strongest showing on Route 66.
See what Boise State has. I think the problem for Boise State is they won that one fight on point 2 and got caught in a weird comp of Merciana and just didn't have a defensive ult available when they needed it. And would have probably liked to see maybe a swap there, but we'll see what Boise State has in store. I mean, good job by Silk Carpet, at least proving his non-Doomfist prowess as he's able to play Tracer that whole time. As we see here, the Mountain West Spring Overwatch Tournament, best of 5. Control, Hybrid, Escort, Assault, and then back to Control. We will get Assault for somebody on match point. Question is if it's going to be UNLV or if it's going to be Boise State.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a huge question with Plato hovering a lot of DPSs right now. I would have loved to see Goblin on this far. The verticality seems to play very well for Boise State, especially when we saw on Kings Row that pharmacy went unanswered for the longest time. So I really hope we see a lot of answers here as we see Guac back on this Winston. Hopefully he's going to disrupt that back line and eliminate some supports. But with Lucky on this Brig, she'll be able to put up a fight. Same with Karma. He's getting a lot of good discords and a lot of good snipes onto these members of Boise State, as we see Plato still swapping out Huff, finally sticking to the Tracer, kind of mirroring the previous UNLV team. See if they'll be able to hold them back, as UNLV is going for more of a rear hold on the roof rather than up close like Boise State did, but they'll probably stall for just as much time. As Silk Carpet already at 25%, Goblin at 30 for their ults. A lot of poke damage coming out. Goblin falling very low, just above 20 before he is healed back up by a large bagel on this Ana. Really keeping his team alive as long as they can. And Plato trying to poke as much as he can to try to farm that pulse bomb. Getting close to the 50% mark. Same with Goblin. Guac falling so low until Goblin is the first elimination of this game. Gets meleeed by Silk Carpet. Then Kel's going to answer with an elimination on the Wild. Silk then takes out Nerdy. After she loses her precious far as Large Bagel takes out Silk, and Slam and Lucky are able to wipe out the remaining members as Slam eliminates Guac. Seems UNLV wins this really drawn-out team fight. So Boise State is going to have to regroup here as Purdy just commits suicide rather than try to farm his mech ult. He's going to have to fly all the way back. So Boise State should definitely realize this and try to capitalize it with UNLV being a member down. Seems they're definitely going to hold back as well, being down a main tank. But Silk does have this pulse bomb before Plato does. Plato just now gets it and eliminates Slam as well. We see Nerdy res Goblin as... and Guac falls to Wild. So a lot of back and forth here between these two teams, but losing that Primal Rage as they have it available. And Nano comes online. We saw the Pulse Bomb used, but no value there. Nano does come out as well. We're going to see Barrage, but gets canceled out by Deadeye. So great recognition from Wild. They're able to capitalize on it as Silk gets a double elimination to both supports once Nerdy lures that Vara. As Goblin now swapping over to hovered that Doomfist, then back to Reaper. He needs to make a commitment here because his team needs him as both members and essentially a team wipe for Boise State. They need to bring this back together as UNLV is having a very strong showing, buying as much time as they can.
Yeah, I think unfortunately Boise State's going to fall into that trap of keeping the Mercy just to have the Valkyrie. They're not really going to have a great defensive support line as Goblin gets taken out. Nerdy should have the ability to get the res with the Primal Rage coming out from Guac. Going to be able to take down both supports for UNLV, but Kel will then be taken out. Plato and Large Bagel and Guac all dropping incredibly low. Boise State is still being able to push the payload. UNLV off point. Silk Carpet incredibly low. Punches down a Large Bagel. Not able to finally wrap this one up as there's just a minute on the clock, and Boise State's going to have to retreat, and they're going to get one last chance here. UNLV is going to be on match point going on to Assault.
Yeah, Guac even saw his supports getting burned down by that Diva and just went for the med pack instead of helping them. So a little bit miscommunication there by the side of Boise State, as we do see the grab come out onto point, but no members really there to capitalize on it. So kind of misused ult there as it allowed Boise State to just walk closer, but not even an elimination as Lucky takes out Plato really early on, and Kel is taken out by Karma. We're going to see Desmosum come out, but only take out Silk. We see Deadeye get popped as well. Maybe a possible elimination as Transcendence is kind of popped to just keep his team alive. Didn't really need it there, especially as no ult on the side of Boise State to really contest that. We did see Nano come out for the side of Boise State onto Guac, try to get as much elimination and damage onto the side of UNLV as Plato's trying to win this 1v1 against the baby Diva. Doesn't even happen there. We see the Pulse Bomb come out onto Diva, but kind of gets himself only down to 19 HP and gets himself kind of killed there as full stalling comp really coming out for Boise State, trying to get as much time for them as Goblin falls, and then Large Bagel right behind him. It seems UNLV is not even allowed to get him the first pip.
UNLV is going to take that one, and I mean, in rather dominating fashion. They full cap. Boise State couldn't even get onto that first point, and we'll go on to Assault with UNLV, the reigning champions, sitting on match point, and Silk Carpet will pick up the play of the game. Even on the Doomfist, or even on the Tracer, excuse me, still just bullying the supports of Boise State with a great pulse bomb there, and then just getting right in the face of a Large Bagel, getting one more elimination. And Boise State now has to come up with an answer here as we go on to Assault, and UNLV is one map away from winning their first game in the regular season Mountain West Week 1.
Yeah, UNLV very strong showing on the defensive, where Boise State just simply didn't have an answer for them. They were playing kind of separated a lot of the time, and probably some miscommunications on their side as well. Once they had that pharmacy, they didn't really get a lot of capitalization on the attack strat, and they should have swapped off of it a lot of time too. We saw Nerdy on that Mercy kind of overcommit to it. Even when she had the Valkyrie, she didn't get a lot of value of it. When she had Goblin fall really early on, she didn't go for that res either, as we're going to go to a little quick replay here of the start of the second round.
Oh, they're going to fly right through the tire. Excellent.
We love to see it.
Camera work here always on point. I mean, usually it's Kings Row where the camera work is on point because we play that map so often. So a huge shout out to whoever the fly guy there in the background for the Boise State production room is, getting the nice little swoop right through the tire. If only they could maybe, you know, take out Silk Carpet somehow, maybe disorient him. That would be the answer Boise State really needs. But, yeah, I mean, it feels like Silk Carpet, I think he got an early elimination odd to dirty in a pharmacy comp, which you wouldn't expect to happen with the Tracer getting an aerial pick. So, yeah, he is still the menace he's always been. And I think the big issue is going to be for Boise State is he probably is on Assault just going to jam Doomfist, and Boise State's got to come with an answer because right now they haven't had one, and UNLV's up 2-1 in the series and looking to close this one out and put that first W on the board. And if Boise State can't take down UNLV, could be hard-pressed to find another team in the Mountain West that could. So this could be the only serious challenge UNLV has, and we'll see if Boise State can get them to a map number 5.
Yeah, we hope we get to a map number 5, especially for Boise State's sake of trying to learn all the possible shots that UNLV has if we go to that championship game against them once again. But with UNLV's Silk Carpet, you really got to try to have that target priority on the side of Boise State. You maybe even want to go those really high DPS single target hits to try to burn him down. We saw Kellen Guak constantly try to burn him down. We saw that in Kings Row, and they did very well at it because every time they did, they won that team fight. So Boise State has to realize that and has to capitalize on that.
Yeah, that's the advantage he has on the Tracer. I mean, compared to the Doomfist, they're both highly mobile with that Tracer. I mean, we saw it, I think, from Plato's point of view. He was just trying to find it, blinking all around, just back and forth. So we'll see if Boise has an answer. We're on to Assault. See what map the Broncos want to pick here, and they need to pick a good one because if they can't get the win here, UNLV will, much like in the championship, have a 3-1 series result, and they'll start the year 1-0. Don't forget, we have more Mountain West Overwatch coming up after this. Boise State in a doubleheader will take on Air Force, which might be a way for the Broncos to get back on track. But right now, we're hoping for Boise State to have a 2-0 start. It's just looking a little bit scary as UNLV has put them in quite the bind. And I mean, I'll be curious because with how snowbally Assault can be, it feels like UNLV has been the better team tonight, consistently winning fights. So if they win 1 or 2 fights, it's going to be very hard. As we see for Boise State, we actually get quite the comp swap as Reza will be in and Nerdy will be out. So one of the 3 DPS players for Boise State between Plato, Rezo, and Goblin will be playing support, and it looks like of all people it will be Goblin on the support.
Yeah, I'm curious if him playing this map, he'll be able to hit a lot of shots as we see him so consistently do on other DPS players. So we'll see if we'll have a high DPS BAP in this game. But also on the side of UNLV, we're going to see something we haven't seen in this matchup, which is Karma.
Is this easy mode?
I'm really curious if this is going to make the difference here.
Nope.
Nope, he's going to go back to Zenyatta.
No, the Zenyatta Brig
The Moira
core for UNLV has just been too strong. I think Karma has, I don't want to say found his home, because I'm not going to say the transcendencies he's thrown out have been really any better than the sound barriers, but
the Discord Orb gives him a lot of damage and a lot of utility on their side, and especially attacking here, having that single target damage, seems they're kind of recognizing the fact of we need to burn down one person and just go to the next, whereas Boise State's kind of going for that AoE wide damage across the entire team, but they've been able to heal it so consistently. And Lucky on this Brig has been doing very well. So you have to wonder what can Boise State do to hold them off in this Hanamura choke point.
yeah, I am really curious to see how this goes for Boise State with Goblin now in at the support role. And as you mentioned, he might be able to put out some serious damage, and he's used to just clicking on heads. Now he's got to click on his own team's heads. As QWERTY's mech is going to be the first one taken out. He will go down immediately as well. Immortality thrown out there for Boise State, and it looks like the Broncos will be able to survive as Maywald's going to cut off the side of UNLV. Lucky Shaiko will be forced back as well, and a great first fight win. And just off that, QWERTY's going to swap over to the Zarya.
Yeah, I think that's a great swap over, especially with this Mei having those bubbles to just completely remove all the frost that she pours onto you is great. We're going to see Silk go back to that Doomfist, so possibly scary times for Boise State ahead, especially with Karma now going over to the Lucio. They're definitely going for that speed comp, it seems. So if they're able to just push through that door and get Silk onto those supports, see if he'll be able to win this fight for his team. As the Amp Matrix comes out from Goblin, get Silk to back off just ever so slightly, as Wild now also has his Deadeye, with Rezo also matching that Deadeye, so possibly Showdown might go down here.
one Deadeye from Wild Wing Bat. Don't see him on the screen. Have to think he's behind that May wall. Now we're going to get a Deadeye here from Rezo. Not able to find anything as the Immortality Field from Goblin keeps Boise State alive. Slamtaro's down. Wild Wing Bat's going to join him in the grave. Maywall's going to cut the team in half, and this new look comp for Boise State's doing pretty well. We're 2 minutes into the match, and Silk Carpet is yet to get an elimination.
Yeah, Silk's behind right now. It seems he was just able to squeeze right through that upper window. And right now, Slam has also been diving in by himself consistently and getting eliminated very early on. Plato trying to freeze him and even has the Blizzard on standby with Sound Barrier coming up and the Ant Matrix, the wall coming out, and the Blizzard onto 3 members, or 4 that is. Got him to back up as Goblin and Rezo are able to eliminate the 2 all by themselves. So without the BAP or the Reaper, they're not going to have a lot of close damage here as the Maywall comes out once again. We're going to see the self-destruct come out, but able to get no members there as both Cordy and Slam are able to take out Guac and Kel. So no tanks remaining from the side of Boise State as Meteor Strike comes out from Silk, able to get one of his first eliminations. Cordy gets a double kill there. Seems that UNLV is going to take this first point as a large bagel is there to just stall possibly or just get eliminated and reset.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like things started out so well there for Boise State. They got the double elimination to start with that Blizzard, and just unfortunately, they came off the rails quickly. A large bagel had the sound barrier that whole time, but assumingly he's saving it for that grab that Cordy has online. Not an awful play, but now UNLV is going to have 4 minutes here to try and capture this first point. They're going to teleport across with Wild Wing Bat now on that Symmetra. They've got to be careful. Boise State has the Shatter available. The Ant Matrix going to go down. Guac's going to have to throw up the shield to stay alive. Cordy drops low, but no eliminations quite yet. They're going to hop right on the point. They're going to get 1 tick immediately. Boise State will now come down and challenge it with Kel, but he's forced to fly away. Rezo's going to pop the Deadeye. Immortality Field from Goblin does get taken out. Shatter comes down right as the Sound Barrier comes out. Sound Barrier will also come down for a large bagel. Boise State is down Plato. Grab now comes out for Cordy as soon as that Sound Barrier is on cooldown. And this is the snowball effect we've talked about with Assault. Is 1 point win for UNLV is quickly turned into nearly 2. But they're going to get wiped up here just barely after they pick up that second tick as they'll lose a pair of members. And Boise State, with those close respawns, is going to be able to at least hold for now, but they've still got quite a work cut out for them.
Yeah, they were able to get those 2 pips, which is definitely not what you want to see from the side of Boise State defending with pretty much 3 minutes still remaining for the attack of UNLV. And they definitely got their foothold once Rezo was able to eliminate Silk about halfway, if not 3/4 through that fight. So good on him for recognizing that once they take him out, they'll be able to win the fight. As we do see the wall come out and multiple members diving onto the point, we're going to see Tire come out and the amplification and a double on that Tire. We're going to see Deadeye come out and get no members, sadly, as Silk eliminates Rezo. But with the rest of his team falling apart, we're going to see Silk fall after he manages to eliminate Goblin. So Boise State is going to be able to take this, but had to commit multiple ults to withhold pretty much UNLV's 1.
Yeah, we are going to see a pair of swaps now for UNLV. They'll go into the Hanzo and the McCree for Silk Carpet and Wild Wing Bat, respectively. And the number you've really got to watch, well, never mind, is Cordy's actually going to swap over to that Diva. I was going to say, you got to watch the Sound Barrier versus the Grab, but that change for UNLV will cancel that. And just a pair of ultimates up. It's a Diva Bomb for Boise State. It's an Ant Matrix there for Lucky Shaiko, but Kel caught in a very compromised position. Has to be careful he doesn't get taken out. We see Slamtaro taken very low. The Ant Matrix has gone down, and Boise State will simply line of sight, and that's a wasted ult for the side of UNLV. Kel maybe looking for a big Diva Bomb value here right on top of the point. At least get some zoning potential as he'll just pop it as soon as the mech goes down for a nice little reset. Lucky Shaiko. First one taken out. Guac will go down though. Boise State down their main tank. Wild Wing Bat though falls next. They're trying to take down Cordy as a Dragon Strike from Silk Carpet will come ripping through the Bronco team. Kel barely surviving. 58 HP. Gonna get forced out of the mech. But Plato absolutely popping off on fire. Baby Diva punches down Slamtaro. You don't see that very often. And Kel will just go for the reset. And UNLV, he's got one last chance.
Boise State played that fantastically. We saw Rezo with the early double kill on UNLV, and then Plato helped him just clean up as Kel bought as much time as for his team on that point, stalling the best he could, even evading that Dragon Strike, which also got no eliminations there. So really well played by Boise State, and now they're even going into this with Tyre up against the Sound Barrier and Shatter here, but it looks like Rezo's right behind him with the Deadeye, with Guac also pretty close behind with his own Shatter, and Large Bagel with the Sound Barrier, but we're going to see Tyre actually get eliminated, same with Plato and Rezo. The Sound Barrier does come out, same with the Shatter and the Self-Destruct, as UNLV uses their own Self-Destruct. Neither one gets any value for their side, and now it's down to the overtime with just about 0.1% remaining for the side of UNLV. Everything coming out. Rezo even going to Widowmaker, getting a triple for his team, with QWERTY only able to eliminate Plato. It seems Boise State held this point.
Did they really, though? Considering the point is at 99.9%. Boise State basically has to cap this.
Initiating match.
I'll be really curious what the game's going to say here if Boise State gets this first point on what they have to do to win, because usually in overtime you just have to beat your opponent's capture. How do you beat 99.9 without capturing it?
You don't.
So, I mean, Boise State has to two-cap now. It's basically the situation that UNLV's put them in, and it'd be very, very tough to tie 99.9 as well. But first, Boise State's got to get that first point, and we'll see here UNLV, at least for now, flashing the Pharmacy. We'll see if that ends up being the comp or not. And Silk Carpet on that Ash starting to expand his pool a little bit. And Rezo, just please click off the Doofus. Just do it. And get away from it. Don't do it.
Also, I actually want to shout out Rezo on that final point. Just kind of like the Pocket Widow came out there and got the three-piece. So really, he did very well in that final point of just, hey, I'm going to go to probably what I'm super comfortable with, but that's not really good for Hanamura here. And it seemed to pay off for him. So see if that same thing might happen here on this first point, as we're going to see Boise State kind of go back to their initial first comp with this Attack May.
Yeah, Boise State almost, I mean, the identical comp, as you mentioned, to what they defended with, is the May wall will go down, allows them to kind of sneak around the corner. They'll poke their heads out here, try and get some chip damage onto UNLV. If they can get inside the point, it'll be very hard for this far to get much value with the low skybox, as Slamtaro is going to be the first person eliminated. The Immortality Field does get taken out by Wild Wing Bat, as Silk Carpet's just trying to be a pester on the side of Boise State right now. As Kel's going to get right in the face of Lucky Shaiko, nearly eliminate him. Goblin does get taken out, though, by Silk Carpet. But Boise State more than content just capping the point. One man left contesting it before they can get that second tick, as QWERTY was booped off the edge. And Boise State is just kind of running through this comp for UNLV. This Farah has not got much value and really can't do much to contest the point. So Boise State will, despite getting just 2 eliminations, already up to 94.2%. Slamtaro is going to go down. Now that Farah in the point, not having the best of time with all those wooden beams in her way, as Silk Carpet gets taken out. And Boise State's going to have 5 minutes and 45 seconds left. You can see where the yellow arrow is. So I guess Overwatch is going to say there's a way to win this Brenner without capping.
It's possible. We did see Carmen have to reset as he was Maywalled off from getting back to point. We're going to see Kel pretty much dive onto point with a large bagel kind of far behind his team, but with that speed is going to be able to get there and gets a full sound barrier even after losing Goblin. So doing his support role the best he can, as Rezo is able to take out QWERTY and then Guac taking out the Farah, with Slam then answering, and Silk. So it looks like it's going to be a reset for Boise State, but they pushed hard and they almost got that first pip. They tried to just keep steamrolling, but they got reset. UNLV had a really good answer for it, so I'm surprised the Pharmacy did not swap off here.
Yeah, this is not, Hanamura's second point does not feel like a spot where a Pharmacy is going to get a lot of value, but we'll have to see. Yeah, I mean, I think if a large bagel may have got that sound barrier and got there in time before Goblin was taken out by Silk Carpet, that might have been a different fight, as an Ant Matrix will go down. There's a Diva Bomb from Kel that's just going to zone away UNLV. Maywall goes down. Nano's going to go on to Silk Carpet, and the Blizzard will come down for Plato, but Rezo's already been eliminated. Cordy will be taken out. Boise State would like to get at least one tick on this point, but Wild Wing Bat's going to get another one. So this Pharmacy getting a ton of value despite the limited skybox they have to work with. As Wild Wing Bat ends up picking up a triple kill, and somehow this Pharmacy's working out here for UNLV.
Yeah, and eliminating Rezo so early on, which is pretty much their only counter to this Pharmacy, as Plato hasn't been really hitting these right clicks, as he's now swapping over the Soldier, and Rezo going to the Genji. See if they'll be able to counter this Pharmacy, as Goblin now going to the Mercy to keep that Genji alive, and Guak now. They're kind of going for that high mobility and leaving Ana in the dust here. So hopefully she'll be able to stay alive and heal her teammates from the rear, as UNLV going into this next fight pretty much has 4 ults to Boise State's none.
Yeah, Boise State with all those swaps as Goblin immediately gets taken down by Wild Wing Bat. Plato will also fall to Silk Carpet, so the strat to try and counter that Pharmacy does not work out. Silk Carpet does get taken out. It's put to sleep as well during the Meteor Strike, but about the only bonus Boise State's going to get is they'll take down Cordy as well, but they'll still be forced to reset with 3 minutes on the clock. But if things don't start going their way quickly, Boise State's going to start running out of time.
Yeah, they had that 5 minutes, and they're already down to 3, and they haven't even got the first tick. So you have to wonder, are they just here to try to get their ults and see if they can win the fight that way? Because they're still going to UNLV's 3 ults here. So you have to think in this team fight, what is your plan as we go for a pause?
So hopefully we'll be able to get back into the action rather quickly. It is the Mountain West Overwatch regular season kicking off this week. 10 teams in the Mountain West. Much like League of Legends, they'll just round robin through, and then the top 4 teams will advance to the semifinals, and we will have our championship. Right now we're looking at a rematch from last spring's championship, where UNLV was crowned champions for the 2nd year in a row over Boise State. And right now the Broncos not looking very good. They are down 2 maps to 1 on Assault. If they're not able to somehow theoretically get more than 99.9% without capping, which is at least what Overwatch is telling us, we'll see how that interaction works out if we get there. UNLV will win the series and send Boise State to 0-1. But we do have a doubleheader here. Don't forget, Boise State and Air Force is coming up after the UNLV match. But hopefully we're able to get through this pause relatively quickly. Hopefully no one's going to have any major issues. And we'll see, because as you mentioned, Boise State, Brenner, swapped basically their entire comp. And now they're looking at 3 ults from UNLV in this next fight. And that is probably, you know, Boise State's plan. Maybe try and bait UNLV to throwing out multiple ults, but still, that's going to take 30 to 45 seconds off the clock that eventually Boise State could need.
Yeah, they had that extra, 2 minutes advantage compared to UNLV on that first point, and they've definitely used it, or maybe even wasted it, because they learned kind of UNLV's defensive strat, especially with that Pharmacy, which has actually been really paying off for them. That has been very surprising. They're able to take out Rezo pretty early on that McCree, so swapping over is a good choice for them. So now with a quick double elimination for the side of UNLV from Wild, and Large Bagel only able to manage to take out Silk, but that Mercy Res should be able to bring him right back. Wild has really been kind of wiping the floor for Boise State right now, so you have to wonder what are they going to do to answer him, because this kind of not even anti-fire comp, as we see Rezo swap once again to Tracer. You have to wonder if Plato's going to finally be able to take out Wild, as now they have 4 ults, almost 5, with Valkyrie right behind.
Yeah, Boise State in the blue, UNLV in the red. UNLV up 2 maps to 1, so if they can hold for the next 2 minutes and 10 seconds, they will win this rematch. As the grab comes out, Valkyrie's committed there by Goblin, and Plato will be taken up, but they'll trade it off 1 for 1 as Cordy gets eliminated. Boise State will unfortunately not able to deny the res. Wild will get 1 before he gets taken out. Rezo has the pulse bomb available, barely being kept alive by Goblin, and Boise State has actually somehow managed to sustain on this point. Karma taking a ton of damage as Rezo's just camping them in their spawn. Eventually does get taken out by Wild Wing Bat, as a Nano's going to go on to Silk Carpet, and Boise State unfortunately once again going to come oh so close to 1 tick, but not able to find it. Wild Wing still has that rocket barrage, as it looks like another pause will come out here. Not quite sure what the issue is, but hopefully this one will be resolved as quickly as our last one. But the way things are going right now, Brenner, doesn't look like Boise State, pause or not, is really going to find a way back onto Assault unless they can wipe things up in a hurry, but they're still staring at a rocket barrage in that next fight.
Yeah, I'm actually really proud of Rezo. They're able to kill that Ana before she even got back to the spawn and didn't commit the pulse bomb, so he saved it for the next fight. So they are a lot closer to their ults. or Plato's very close on his visor as well, so he'll be able to hopefully take out Farah before she uses that barrage or while she's doing it so it doesn't get as much value as she wants. Especially with not having a diva on their side, you have to wonder where she's going to do it and how you're going to counter it. So that's going to be definitely on the side of Boise State to acknowledge that and have an answer for it.
Yeah, we're hoping to get back into it. I mean, UNLV basically came as close as you can, so even if Boise State wins, it's going to take multiple fights to get to that 99.9%. And I think there's just about 2 minutes left when we get through this pause to hopefully allow Boise State, as you mentioned, they can maybe take out the Farah while she's ulting. She's almost more vulnerable then than she has been this entire time. But somehow this pharmacy has been working for UNLV better on second point on Hanamura than it has on the first point, which isn't something you usually think is the case. And they've done a really good job denying Boise State as we come out of the pause, and Plato will be eliminated. Boise State has a pair of ultimates. They're close to that tack visor as well. You see for UNLV in the red, they only have 2 ults that are even close, so they will have that pulse bomb and that rocket barrage, but that is a lot of damage that Boise State's going to have to live through.
Yeah, it's really on them to try to have an answer for all of these DPS ults as Silk ends up having to reset here. So it looks like Boise State is already up a man. We're going to see the self-destruct come up and the res. Sadly, I'm pretty sure they just res Baby Diva there. As the barrage did come out on Plato, but she was then taken out by Rezo. So quick little answer there. They still have their pulse bomb in the back pocket as Rezo is able to eliminate Silk. So buying just ever so more her time for his team. But with both tanks still on the point, stalling as long as they can, including this Wrecking Ball, who used his mines in the previous fight, is already back up to 80%. So he has been able to farm this ult chart so quickly for his team. Squawk is also trying to answer him with his own ring around the rosy, the center point. A lot of back and forth for these two teams as Squawk eats that anti and has to retreat to his team. It looks like Boise State's going for the reset here as they didn't want to just continue to trickle in. So good on them for at least recognizing that as Goblin even goes for the res on a large bagel and pops the Valkyrie. We do see the nano come out from a large bagel as well, with Guac trying to get his mines as quickly as possible. He's at that 94%. We're going to see Plato get the double kill onto both Slam and Karma, with Silk still holding onto that pulse bomb, hasn't used it as Rezo just used his pulse bomb to take out Wild on that soldier. Plato then gets one final kill before he's eliminated by Qwerty. We're in overtime, not even getting the second pip yet. They just now secure, still in overtime, still now contested. Boise State really having to burn through as many team members as they can, with UNLV having that spawn advantage. Rezo being the last one on point, and it looks like we're full stall here with a large bagel diving in as fast as he could, but no members nearby. UNLV takes it.
Yeah, unfortunately for Boise State, they didn't have any ticks available, so they had to go 0 to 99 in those last minute, and they just could not quite get it done. They got 2 ticks out of the way, but Silk Carpet will pick up the play of the game on Hanzo, and UNLV will pick up the series victory and start off where they left off, as they were the champions over Boise State. Now they're picking up a win over Boise State in week number 1, but we fully expect both these teams to be back in the Mountain West Championships unless something goes crazy in the next 9 regular season games. But UNLV picks up the win, but like we said, we are not done. We've got one more game left here tonight. It will be Boise State taking on Air Force in the Mountain West Spring Overwatch Tournament. The regular season kicking off with a doubleheader, and we will see if the Broncos are able to get back on the winning track with a game against Air Force. But a close match between UNLV and Boise State. Of course, with Boise State being on spring break sometimes means that wasn't quite the full blue team that you would think if Boise State gets back to the championship you would see for the Broncos. So definitely UNLV has to probably realize that this is not the team that they will see in that championship if both these teams get back here. But that's what it is, and we'll have to see how the rest of the regular season goes. And Boise State couldn't quite get it done against UNLV with just not enough key plays when they needed it.
Yeah, not having Aso on that support, making Goblin go over to it, and having Rezo and Plato take over that DPS role was definitely a handicap for Boise State, as they were not able to have that full blue team. But as we go over to the player of the game, we're going to see that it is Kel on that off tank. He was able to get a lot of eliminations and those great grabs that were able to get Silk Carpet eliminated. So way to go, Kel.
It's actually Goblin.
Oh.
The replay just started as Kel. It's Goblin who had some good plays on that Reaper. I mean, I remember last week he was talking about his Reaper plays, saying that, he averages 30 eliminations per 10. He also averages 10 deaths per 10. So he dies, every minute, but he also picks up 3 eliminations every minute. And I think that's probably the best way to describe what we saw from his Reaper play. A lot of eliminations, and unfortunately a lot of deaths as well. And UNLV picks up the win, but Goblin gets the ICCU player of the game. ICCU believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like they're helping their members achieve financial success. Goblin is your Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game. Well, we are not done here. As we mentioned, we've got one more series left. It will be Boise State taking on Air Force, another split squad here. We'll see who will be in and who will be out, but don't forget, we've got our Idaho Army National Guard top 5 plays to wrap up the series against UNLV. Don't forget, the Idaho Army National Guard invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time. More than 10 jobs offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for. They're the best team out there. Reach out on Twitch, iGuard Gaming. We'll leave you the top 5. We'll be back with Boise State versus Air Force. Champions if they can get it done.
Deadeye is now used as soon as they get it, able to take out Silk as well. So with a possible star player down for UNLV, Boise State has a chance as Goblin's able to take out Wild as well, with Kel picking off QWERTY and Plato taking out the Orisa. Plato getting one more, and Goblin, it seems Boise State was able to pull it back in this stall comp. Down to can Karma speed boost his teammates onto it, as it seems only the 2 supports are on the point at the moment, as Large Bagel takes out Karma. So not having that Lucio or the sound barrier charge even coming, because he was at 91%, so it seems like this is going to be Boise State's comeback match. And they even have the Shatter to stall it out. Boise State brought this back together.
Meteor Strike used there by Rezo, and he's unfortunately not going to find much value and forced to be charged away. Double Death Blossom from Goblin. Boise State going to pick up the team kill. And a panic grab by Kel ends up turning out well, because it takes down Silk Carpet, and when he goes down early, UNLV looks like they just kind of crumble.
To commit the grab just to try to stay alive there, but no teammates were alive to capitalize, as his DPSs were not back in time for that. And now they have their own grab and Shatter as the image comes out. Goblin's able to get a double and triple with the Death Blossom from behind. No members of UNLV watching their butts, and they paid dearly for it. Gets any value for their side, and now it's down to the overtime with just about 0.1% remaining for the side of UNLV. Everything coming out. Rezo even going to Widowmaker, getting a triple for his team, with QWERTY only able to eliminate Plato. It seems Boise State held this point.
Welcome back into the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. Boise State trying to rally the troops and end the Mountain West Week 1 Overwatch Tournament regular season with a 1-1 overall record, just dropping that best of 5 we just saw, 3-1 to UNLV. But there's one more left. The Broncos are taking on Air Force, so we will see who's on the roster and if Boise State's able to pick up the victory. Fish and Brenner still calling all of the action here. We'll go Control, Escort, Hybrid for sure, and then we'll have Assault and Control not played in games 4 and 5 if we get there. And I'll be curious to see for Boise State what squad comes out, because I thought that blue squad against UNLV definitely would be very favored against Air Force, so maybe Boise State will find a way to get some of the orange team members in, but it is spring break, so we do have to kind of mix and match the rosters. But I mean, I'm really curious to see how Boise State responds. And the other thing I'm looking out for is who else in the Mountain West can really challenge this UNLV-Boise State dynamic. They've been the best 2 teams in the Mountain West for the last 2 years at Overwatch. And if that series we just saw is any indication, they are still very, very evenly matched, but UNLV is just a smidge better.
Yeah, with only having those 2 members still with the experience of against UNLV, you have to think the other 4 are going to learn a lot from that game, especially after having the recording of it. They're going to watch it, analyze it, and learn what they can do better, especially not having that full roster. Like we mentioned, Asu is gone, so they didn't have that. Her next best support player, so they had to put Goblin on it, and he did his best as a DPS player. So you got to give him credit for that, which is why he got the player of the game there. He was able to capitalize a lot on it. So going into this next Air Force game, you have to wonder, what are they going to do with this mixed roster, and will they be able to capitalize it better to come back from that UNLV game?
Yeah, we will see here. Boise State, might reach a little deeper into the roster here against Air Force, but we will see. As we mentioned, it is a best of 5, so not unfortunately going to be maybe, you steal one on Control. You only got to win 1 more, as you see in these best of 3 tournaments. Definitely going to be a challenge for Air Force going up against one of the better teams in the Mountain West, but anything can happen. I know in the League of Legends series, there are a couple of near upsets that Boise State barely avoided against some teams that weren't expected to do very well, so Air Force, a ton of chance here, especially coming off that game against UNLV. I'm sure for Boise State, spirits are probably a little lower than maybe you would hope, because you were hoping to be able to make that statement victory early on. But we will see. It's Boise State Air Force. It's our final match of the night. Broncos trying to end 2-1 overall. They took down Oregon State to guarantee a perfect record and the #1 seed in the PlayVS tournament for Overwatch as well. But here we go. It's Boise State and Air Force. Game number 2 of the Mountain West regular season, week number 1. And we'll see what we have in store here on Control and who will be making an appearance here for this Boise State roster, as the Broncos try and get back to 1-1 and at least salvage a early week. But we get Doc's keys to the game before we start. Don't forget, we always talk about never taking a fair fight. What does that mean? It means take fights in unexpected places when they are unprepared and when you can have ability advantages. They're brought to you by Count, whose Identity Trust Global Network delivers real-time fraud prevention, account protection, and enables a personalized customer experience for more than 9,000 leading brands and payment providers. Quick and accurate identity trust decisions as well. Go check them out at count.com, KOUNT.com. And we'll head in to map number 1 here very shortly, and we'll see what kind of response Boise State has. And also, maybe feel a little bit bad for Air Force, Brenner, because if Boise State comes out with a fury of trying to avenge that loss, they might absolutely just run over the Falcons.
Yeah, and that could happen here, especially with a new team here, as we do see pretty much only a large Bagel and Nerdy and Rezo carrying over, with Narbles, Frost, and Pleb swapping in for them. So I have to wait and see if that difference will help the Air Force in this matchup, or if we are going to see a complete run over here. As it seems, we are going for more of the traditional comp on the side of Boise State with their Symmetra and Bastion play, with Air Force going for their Symmetra and Echo this time, with the Mercies to see if they'll be able to contest.
4, 3, 2,
Sounds like we've been told it was a personal request by Doc for the Bastion, which I like. We've seen it. I think it was Goblin. If you get this teleporter set up, you can kind of bounce back and forth, and it makes it very hard for the opposing team. Boise State predicts the teleporter. It does not come down. We also see that Boise State has a pair of new tanks with Rezo and Nerdy in the tank role, not roles we're used to seeing either of them in, so we'll see how they respond. As Frost, there we go. So this is exactly what I was talking about. You can just hop back and forth. Is Prince going to get knocked off the edge, and that's going to start the elimination train for Boise State. They're going to get 4 right in quick succession. And Jalti, the last one left, and Boise State off to a very, very strong start.
Yeah, we saw the Air Force was completely separate in that fight. We saw Funny just charge right in with no team behind him and just get eliminated by Frost on this Bastion pretty quickly. So you have to wonder what they're going to do next to try to change it up as 3 members rotate out and then immediately lose their Hanzo with multiple members probably in tow, seeing as they don't really have an answer for this Bastion. They swapped over to the Genji as we see Narbles, Frost, and Rezo get a triple, wiping out these poor Air Force members.
Nerdy gets one more elimination onto Mighty, and Boise State has really not been tested so far. This squad coming out pretty strong. A couple of holdovers, as you mentioned, maybe looking for revenge for that UNLV game, but the personal Doc Bastion right now really has not had an answer for Air Force. As Frost, I don't even know if he's taking a single point of damage, as an immortality field will come down for Prince, but it's not going to matter as both DPS for Air Force are taken out. Funny's the next target here as Frost healing himself in that tank form, playing a little bit of cat and mouse there with Marshall, and it looks like Boise State's going to be able to wrap that one up. And one ult used for Boise State. No eliminations for Frost, but still he's playing pretty strong, and I think Doc has to be happy about it.
Yeah, especially since it was his own personal call for Bastion, and that 1v1 even ended well for Boise State. Now with 3 ults to the Air Force's 1, almost 3 if they're able to get it before they are eliminated in this upcoming fight. We're going to see Rezo and Pleb even push towards their spawn and get a lot of eliminations as Rezo's just shielding to their entire damage, not even swinging his own hammer. We're going to see Mighty with the res onto Prince as well, with Nerdy eating the grab. So even when the Air Force is up multiple members, they're still losing a lot of value on their end. As even the flashbang onto Narbles, he loses his own life. Teleporter coming up, he's going to jump onto the point and can solo contest against 5 members and lose his life to it.
Yeah, that was a great shatter there by Funny. I think it landed onto 4 or 5 members of Boise State. And as you mentioned, maybe have a little bit of fun camping Air Force in their spawn. We'll see how quickly Boise State's able to flip this point and wrap up game number 1, or if Air Force can make a stand. As Boise State's got a couple of swaps here. They got the Doomfist and the Pharah, as Nerdy's able to take down 1 and the Immortality Field. Funny does win the battle of the Reinhardts against Rezo, and we see Mighty commits the Valkyrie there. A couple of res targets available. Funny's having a pop-off moment, gets a pair of eliminations. No res just yet as Funny gets taken out. Mighty, the last one standing on the point, not able to find a res, will come plummeting down, and Boise State will flip this point and should be able to win this in short order.
Yeah, Large Bagel with a double elimination in that final fight, with Matrix even coming out to stall them as long as they can, with Multi and Rezo falling off the edge, with Rezo even getting the charge off the edge onto Symmetra. And it's a done deal for Boise State in this first round.
A pretty convincing win there, but to Boise State, I mean, and this is something that has plagued some of the Bronco teams in the past, sometimes has a little bit of a tendency to play with their food instead of just swallowing it. And that did allow Air Force a little bit of a comeback here. So you see we've got the Genji there for Majolti. We've got a Torbjorn for Bujan, and we'll see. Unfortunately, I don't know if a Genji without a Ana is going to work well here for Air Force. That could be the one big factor in the difference between Narbles, who at least has Pleb, who also happens to be his brother, with his sort of nano pocket, and Majolti's kind of stuck on an island by himself.
Yeah, Boise State definitely has the comp here, as they already put Marshall to sleep very early on, and Rezo just shooting him as they come out of spawn. Prince getting just burned down by Rezo on this wrecking ball as the charge stun comes out from both sides. And Air Force already down 4 members before the point has even unlocked. Marshall tries to run away to get back to his team and not get eliminated, but Rezo already at 60%, and they just now cap the point.
We'll see what Air Force can do. Prince will get booped off the edge by Rezo, who's very close to that minefield, and that will make it almost impossible for Air Force to push out of their spawn, as Pleb's going to take down Majolti, and Boise State's going to just hold them right in their spawn. Orb Discord's going to land onto Prince. We do see Funny has swapped over to that Roadhog, and Rezo's just waiting with that minefield, maybe looking for a bit of a flank as a Large Bagel does get taken out. Ooh, here comes Rezo. I don't think anyone on Air Force saw him. Here he comes. He's going to drop minefield right as he knocks Air Force into the rest of Boise State's team. He's going to get a triple for himself, and he'll just roll right away.
The sneaky plays. We saw the same thing with UNLV on that Doomfist. They just could sit right behind him and get a ton of value onto Boise State. So they are already learning from their past mistakes and executing them on the Air Force here. So hopefully Air Force will learn from this and not allow it in the next round, assuming they can pull this out, or maybe we'll just have to go to the next map as we see Narbles pull out the blade and not able to actually get any members as Frost is actually popping off on this Doomfist, eliminating and getting a triple so far as they're still coming out of spawn. Just don't leave spawn, snipe.
He didn't get the nano from Pleb, and that kind of cut down the Dragon Blade's effectiveness as Pleb does get picked off, but Boise State is just simply waiting. It doesn't look like the Sonic Arrow will give away their position for a bit, but it's really not going to matter as Mighty gets taken out. Frost and a large bagel both taken out. Could be a chance here. We also have a bit of a back cap on the point by M. Jalti. He was able to flip it. Boise State not paying attention. Whole Hog comes out for funny, and much like we saw on our first map, Boise State kind of falling asleep at the wheel. Let's Air Force flip the point and get back in this game a bit.
Yeah, good on Multi for able to just back it and even gets the blade and a double kill with only the Mighty Big Gay falling for Mercy. But that double Dragon Blade kill was huge for the Air Force as Frost is able to come back and get a double with a large bagel, then taking out the Baptiste, and Narbles winning the 1v1 for the Genji. Frost takes out the Rhine, and very quickly Boise State takes it, but no one's capped the point yet.
Come on.
They win the team fight, but Boise State really needs to learn that Overwatch is an objective game, not play with your food and murder everybody. This ain't Call of Duty. You gotta cap the play.
Nano's gonna go down. Oh, huge shatter flank there from Dirty, able to get a stun onto 4, and I think that's gonna kill any chances of a comeback here. Mjolti nearly flipped the point by himself on that Genji. Boise State is able to eliminate him though, and Boise State will win the first map in short order. We'll move on to Hybrid, and a great start here for Boise State, if not a little bit chaotic at points.
Yeah, they definitely should have paid attention to that point, allowing Multi to get almost 2 just complete backdoors on it. Because for League of Legends, that would be devastating for that backdoor. But an amazing 4-man shatter coming out for Funny. One of the few things Air Force did right in that first showing, but hopefully they learned a lot going into this map too.
Don't forget the 3v3 Overwatch Showdown presented by the Idaho Army National Guard, broadcast live from the Boise State Esports Arena. It's a perfect opportunity to win some prizes, shatter your friends, and ask the Army National Guard about how they can help you get an education in gaming and interactive media, with the finals held live on Saturday, April 16th. Map 1 done here in our final Overwatch event of the evening, with the Mountain West regular season kicking off here. Boise State taking down Air Force. Will head over to Hybrid now. Have to think Air Force probably going to pick Kings Row, as that is maybe the most popular choice. And we'll see for the Boise State predominantly orange team here if they opt for a similar strategy to the blue team, or if they just try and match them mono-e-mono, which has mainly been the orange team style. They don't really get as creative as the blue team has on Kings Row.
I'd actually really love to see Eichenwald just to throw completely everybody off their game. No one will do it, but if
We've
they
seen
did
it a couple times. We've seen Eichenwald more times than you would expect this season, mainly in the NECC where the maps are more predetermined. But I have to think if Air Force, they probably are going to go with Kings Row. It is kind of that comfort pick for a lot of squads. But yeah, maybe, I mean, since Air Force, is the underdog, maybe they try and mix Boise State up and go with something like an Eichenwald or maybe a Blizzard World. Blizzard World seems to be the second most popular, but there it is. I mean, we knew it all along.
Yeah, and especially not facing our Boise blue team, they don't have to really deal with that kind of off-meta comp with the high ground and the Bastion and the Hanzo. So hopefully they'll be able to definitely have their comfort pick if we do go to Kings Row, which
looks like we
probably is.
Yeah, the picture's down there, so I'm guessing we're going to Kings Row. Yeah.
I have to wait to see what that escort map is, though. Maybe we'll get something fun and exciting.
Yeah, I would be curious to see what either team might pick. I mean, it's at least more exciting than Kings Row. That is for sure. But that will be our map number 2. Boise State trying to put themselves on match point. We'll see if Air Force maybe has a trick up their sleeve to extend this series just a little bit longer. But Boise State, I know, would love to just pick up the win in 3, go to 1-1, and try and keep pace with the UNLV, as it is the Mountain West Spring Overwatch Tournament. Week 1 with a doubleheader. Boise State already lost their opener to UNLV, but they look pretty strong here against Air Force. And honestly, the biggest thing Boise State has to worry about is themselves and getting a little bit overconfident, because that is about the only thing that really allowed Air Force to cap the point and win a couple fights with some spawn camping, forgetting about the objective, that sort of thing in control. So we get ready to go here. But, yeah, I mean, Boise State's just got to watch out for themselves, Brenner.
Yeah, it's definitely been kind of their crutch right now. Like you mentioned, they forgot the point and definitely playing with their food. We even saw Funny get the play of the game with the 4-man shatter. So Air Force can do this. We've seen them do it when they get close and play as a team. They're able to capitalize on their cooperation and their ultimates when they get them. So hopefully we'll see a little bit more of an answer for this upcoming match.
We got Boise State and Air Force here. Game number 2 in week 1 of the regular season for the Mountain West Spring Overwatch. Hoping to hop in to game number 2 here pretty quickly. We'll be on Kings Row, and we'll see what Air Force has in terms of an answer for Boise State, because right now on Control, definitely felt like it was Boise State dominated for this mixed roster. Doesn't look like there will be many changes for either side. Actually, no, I lied. There will be one change. Mighty is out for Air Force, and Brizzo is in.
Maybe he might make all the difference here. Doesn't look like Boise State's going to go for the Statue of Liberty play, as we've seen in the past.
Well, they're defending, so they can. You can only go for the Statue of Liberty attacking.
You can defend. It's not like they're going to use a sniper. It's fine.
It would give them the high ground over Funny and Majolti, who definitely feel like the 2 strongest candidates to maybe carry Air Force to a victory, but Boise State will opt actually more for this comp that we see the blue team run, with the Orisa solo holding the point, that Torbjorn in, that Hanzo Morley just kiting around and doing chip damage. So we'll see. And meanwhile, Bujon, he's going to try and channel his inner silk carpet, see if he can have the Doomfist game of his life.
Yeah, this is definitely the perfect time for the orange team to try out this Boise blue strat, as Large Bagel gets a very early elimination onto Multi, as Bo just goes charging right onto point by himself and gets eliminated. You're going to see Funny once again go for that solo charge, see if he can pick anything up all by himself, but gets split up and burned down, as Narbles is also able to eliminate Prince, and we're going to see Frost pop his Molten Core and just go charging in. Large Bagel gets the final boop, and we're seeing the reset for the Air Force, as we're going to see Multi now swapping over to the Echo rather than that Genji we saw him hovering at the start of the match.
Try and get some aerial help for Air Force. Probably could use a Mercy to keep him nice and healthy, but he does get an elimination onto Rezo, and that Orisa is very key to this comp for Boise State, so they got to be careful. This Pleb is close to the Ant Matrix, should be able to throw it down here in short order. You see multiple members of Air Force incredibly low. Funny's the first one taken out. Prince threw down the Immortality Field. Wasn't enough to keep him alive. He will be able to take down the mech for Nerdy, and then the Baby Diva will fall as well. And Boise State after that, will wrap things up in short order here. A couple of eliminations for the supports for Boise State, and they'll send Air Force back to spawn.
Yeah, Pleb in that team fight got a triple for himself on the map of all things, so he's able to get a lot of eliminations, but gets hit by all of the mines from Multi, so Multi picks up that elimination, but is quickly taken out by Narbles as well. So 1-1 down for both sides as they begin to push in. Air Force does have 2 of their ults, but so does Boise State, with both the sound barrier and self-destruct, as Frost pops his lava down, trying to stop that push, and gets a double elimination onto both supports, as Marshall from behind is able to eliminate him, with Rezo even getting the flame strike kill onto Bo, and Pleb is able to take out Marshall. Seems it's another reset for the Air Force.
Jolty gets Rezo. He's living it barely, I think about 10 HP there. He's able to get full healed, but unfortunately for Air Force, despite the advantage of ults, especially that Molten Core from Frost, picked up a double kill and made things incredibly hard. Boise State just has the self-destruct available. 3 ults up for the side of Air Force. We'll see who MJolty wants to commit that duplicated on. There's the Nano, going to go on to Bujon. He's going to have the Meteor Strike available. They're going to get a grab as well. Nerdy will commit the self-destruct, takes down Brizzo. Soundbarrier comes out from a large bagel, but it only lands onto himself, but it does not matter. Boise State's still able to wrap things up here, and Air Force is starting to run out of time with only a minute left on the clock, and Rezo is going for something sneaky.
See if you can get that 6-man back shatter as they're coming out of spawn. They are running out of time with only a minute remaining, so it's definitely going to see if Rezo is able to pull off this play. He's stealthing the best he can and is able to get 2 members at least and the pin, but is taken out just before it's able to land, sadly. In that previous fight, Boise State was able to recognize the members of the Air Force who had their ults and took them out first, but it seems this time with Reza going for that cheeky play, did not able to land it. We did see Funny pop the shatter, but Narbles is able to use his dragons and take out Prince. He gets stuck in the room with the Sigma, but still wins the fight after taking out Brizzo. We're going to see Bo able to take him out in the close range room as the Doomfist, but with Frost and Rezo right behind him, they're able to clean up, and that's the last reset that the Air Force can afford with only 20 seconds remaining.
Did get 1 tick onto the point, though, so Boise State will have their work slightly cut out for them as here comes the final fight. There's going to be just 1 ult up for Boise State. It will be that Molten Cord, and we pop right away. Immortality Field goes down. Able to keep everyone alive. There's the Nano, going to go on to Marshall, but unfortunately it's not going to matter. Air Force will only salvage an elimination onto a turret from Frost, and overtime will end with Boise State needing just 1 tick on the point to put themselves up 2-1 or 2-0.
Yeah, the Air Force really tried to push on the point as a team, but we saw even in that final push, a large bagel was able to slide all the way up to the Widowmaker at the top of her spawn and eliminate her before she could even run back. So really the Air Force needs to come up with a better defensive strategy to hold off Boise State from just absolutely rolling them here.
Yeah, Boise State currently leading the series 1-0 in our final Overwatch match of the night. We'll see what Air Force has in store here, or we could be heading to Escort with Boise State in complete control of the series, and it's going to be quite the defensive effort needed from the Air Force to be able to hold this point.
Ready for battle.
Yeah, I'm curious if they're going to pull out their own unique defensive strat, like we see our Boise State team just copied the Boise State blue team this time. See if they'll have their own Hanzo and Torbjorn strat. They seem to really like this Marshall on the Sigma, as he's gone between that and Arya this entire time. So maybe that might be a key player to keep an eye on the upcoming, as Sigma has not really been in the meta as of recently. We are going to see Boise State go for a more meta comp with Frost on the main, Narbles on the McCree, and it seems Nerdy and Reza are going between tanks deciding what they want to do. Keeping things fluid here, play what they're most comfortable with, as it seems they're going to go back to the Ryan Depot.
See what Air Force has in store for Boise State. Would be quite the hold here. The Immortality Field's committed by Pleb. Funny's the first one eliminated with a great Maywall. Prince will go down as well. With Narbles absolutely popping off, the man gets a triple. Marshall will self-suicide, and Boise State will win that round in record time. And they'll put themselves on match point as we go on to Escort.
I don't even think that final point took 30 seconds, did it?
No, that was...
They rolled real quick.
That was a blink. You missed it if you even blinked. As we give Narbles the play of the game. Absolutely incredible pop-off moment here in this very contested corridor. Gets a pair of eliminations. Got the Dragon Strike as well. We will get ready to head on to map number 3. It's Boise State and Air Force here. Mountain West regular season, week number 1. It's a doubleheader for the Broncos, and unless Air Force comes up with a secret weapon in a hurry here, Brenner, I think Boise State should make quick work of them on Escort.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Escort's maybe their mode and that they succeed on no matter what. As we go over to a quick little support love replay here on the first round of the map. Let's see a little Valkyrie coming out. We're going to see a large Bale get the melee. Narbles get the elimination as well. Large Bagel even got the double kill there on top of that. And then a triple.
Yeah, great pop-off moment there for a Large Bagel. Shocked that we did not get more pleb POV, as I know Not Koba said he's gotten back into Overwatch and played a lot of Baptiste, and anytime he's in charge of the controls, he almost always puts it right on the Baptiste. As Pleb got a huge triple kill there in this fight to keep Boise State from losing more ticks. So yeah, the supports for Boise State coming in absolutely huge here, with Pleb and a large bagel combining for not only the ability to keep their team alive, but also to, you know, trying to channel their little bit of their DPS play as well. So we'll see if they have any crazy moments here. I think we have seen one the support play of the game with Karma getting it with basically hit Transcendence and AFK'd. So maybe they can match him on this last map for Escort. We will see what the choice is going to be for Air Force. Do you have any maps you'd like to see, Brenner, here for our potential final one of the evening?
For the Escort?
Yeah.
Good question.
I think we haven't seen Junkertown in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, and that would also be a great pharmacy map, as we saw the Air Force could definitely attempt that. We know that is a strong Boise State blue strat, so maybe if the orange team is trying to copy blue, as we saw in Kings Row, they might pull that out. So Junkertown could be great, as we don't see it a lot.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what map they would go with here, but it is Boise State and Air Force, game number 3 of the Mountain West Overwatch regular season between these two teams. Boise State trying to move to 1-1, and they're trying to take down Air Force with a nice clean sweep here, so we'll see if they're able to get it done on this Escort map. And right now, Boise State, I mean, I thought they did a good job that time as well of making sure they didn't kind of play over-aggressive and be their own worst enemy, but we will go back to Route 66. We had, unfortunately, the flop for Boise State against UNLV. We'll see if they can get a little bit of a revenge on this map, and if Boise State opts for that close hold in the train car, it could be a long day, or a long 4 minutes at least for Air Force when they're attacking.
Yeah, especially if they decide to play something like a May or even a Torbjorn there, where they throw the turret up top and then did a close hold and just let it burn them down, as it seems the Air Force really had target control issues of just, hey, this is our target, this is where we're going to go for, try to kill this one person, as we used to do back in the day for Reinhardt, of just burn down his shield, take him out, and they lose their main tank, and then we can just snowball them. So defense, this could be very problematic. Or if, say, Boise State even wanted to go for something like a Sombra to just hack them and play with their food, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I mean, Frost has definitely shown the ability to play that Sombra, so we will see what Boise State has in store here for what could be our last map, or if the Air Force is able to have a performance unlike we've seen so far tonight and maybe force Boise State into a map number 4. But with our Route 66 starting here momentarily, be curious to see who is attacking first, who's defending, and what Air Force has up their sleeve. As we've seen, Boise State has been the stronger team throughout the series, and they're looking to wrap it up with a 3-0 victory and get back on the winning track here after an early loss in the Mountain West regular season to UNLV. But it's Boise State, it's Air Force, and it's the Mountain West Overwatch regular season, second game of the night, and we'll see who comes out on top here.
Yeah, some new members on the side of the Air Force with Brizzo and Funny Goob now coming out.
Ready for
Still
battle.
Mighty Big Gay on that Mercy. Marshall on his Sigma. Funny back on the Rhine. And we're going to see Boise State now with Quingible on the tank and Beanie coming out. Lucio
It looks like the full orange team here for Boise State.
going back to their roots, getting some playtime in. See Beanie on this Lucio is going to be a good time for sure. Maybe a possible boop coming out. We're even going to see Bo now on this Bastion. Maybe try to go for protect the president, protect the robot on the cart. Let's see if that comes out for him. With Frost on this May, though, it's going to be quite hard, especially going for the close hold.
1.
See if the Air Force recognizes this and spots him out, especially with this Genji.
Stop the payload.
Looks like the Sigma is going to get some early little poke damage and probably called it out for his team. Pocket Mercy for the Bastion as well. Get the Maywall on the Rhine as well, getting him picked out, but then she's going to trade her life with the Bastion getting a double very early on. Definitely a surprise to Boise, I would assume. Little Bastion hiding in the corner with his Pocket Mercy. No, always a surprise, but Seems Boise State's still going to hold on to this point as long as they can, as Air Force not really getting aggressive and pushing the car as they should be right on top. We're going to see Diva even go for the dive onto Bastion and just eat as much as she can.
Oh, must be a good Diva bomb here if Bastion doesn't move as an Ant Matrix comes down for Plev, and Bujon tried to move up for the high ground, immediately gets spotted out. And it was a good start there for our Air Force. Maybe a couple of those players for Boise State, like the guys we haven't seen tonight, Icy and Beanie Bum, maybe a bit rusty. But in the end, Boise State shuts it down, and Narbles now looking for the flank of a lifetime.
Yeah, try to get that flashbang, fan the hammer, like back in the days when you could fan the hammer an entire Roadhog by yourself. But looks like they're all just going to go out the opposite end, so he's going to have to rotate around and maybe try to execute on Bo on this soldier who's all by himself. He's going to get a triple Deadeye from behind.
And then fails to fan the hammer.
Then fails to fan the hammer. It's just been nerfed too hard. Got to bring it back.
Hits the hardest part, getting multiple kills with Deadeye. First multi-kill Deadeye we've seen all night. So Boise State's burned 2.5 minutes off the clock already. There is a Nano Blade up for Air Force, and Boise State really only has that self-destruct, as Mjolty could use it now as the Diva Bomb's gonna go out. Funny gets stunned, and Quidgible says, hey, nice 3K, how about 4? Frost gets one more, and a great stun onto Funny Goob means you can't put the shield up, and that's a 4-man Diva Bomb.
Yeah, with no Lucio to even try to sound barrier or Winston to bubble it. And Marshall was all the way up front. He couldn't even bubble his friends. So Air Force not really recognizing that there was a giant bomb behind them. And the Ant Matrix comes out, but at least the Air Force knows to line a sight out of the way of it. So a couple good things.
There's the Nano Blade finally. Nano Mjolty back to full. He'll pop the blade. Shatter unfortunately going to miss. And Mjolty hasn't found a single elimination yet. He will get one on to Beanie. As you see, Frost was trying to go for the headshot onto Marshall, and Quidgible ends up just bushing him out of the way. And eventually Boise State is able to hold. This payload has barely moved, and Air Force only has 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, the solo Blizzard coming out from Frost onto that poor little Zarya. So right now the Air Force really needs to pull something together as they're swapping the comp up one more time with Marshall now on this Winston. See if he can learn a thing from Guak or two and cause some havoc.
Attack visor comes out. Bujon immediately take it down. Mighty's going to pop the Valkyrie there. Beanie Bum will sound barrier. Only going to land on to a pair of members for Boise State, but it's enough to keep them alive. Quidgible gets another multi-man Diva Bomb, this time onto 2. And this should give Air Force one last chance. No ults available to try and win a fight, and Narbles trying to one-up Quidgible. Somebody wants a 5K, and it's Narbles' chance here, especially if Icy gets a huge shatter.
Yeah, you'd love to see it get the 5-man, just one up his other 2 DPS players that really tried. We're going to see the 3-man shatter happen, though. No eliminations, as Narbles is just killing people as they're still in spawn. We're going to see the solo Deadeye come out onto the Doomfist. And then a quick little team cleanup. Boise State has got this.
Yeah, Boise State will wrap this one up, and I'm not sure if there will ever be an easier round attacking for Boise State here, as they have to move the payload 4 meters. Boise State Air Force, Mountain West regular season kicking off this week. It's game number 3, and the Broncos are 3.57 meters away, Brenner, from a 3-0 win here and a 1-1 overall record.
Question is, are they going to try to meme and dream, or just absolutely roll them and end it in about 2 seconds?
I don't really know. As long as you just kind of hold your W key, you should be able to wrap this one up in a hurry. About the only way you can meme is if you don't leave the spawn. So Air Force is going to have their work cut out for them, and I think that might even be putting it lightly.
Not even double snipers on attack? At least we're seeing the Moira, something new.
Got the Sombra as well, which, I mean, I guess if Bujon's able to build up that EMP, he might have some value to the team, but I would be shocked if the game goes long enough for him to do that.
See if anyone on the side of the Air Force gets above 30% of ult.
See if anybody gets above 30 to 40%. I mean, you can see the payload's almost in the parking spot.
It's halfway in it already, just at default. So a lot of pressure here on the Air Force to last more than a team fight.
That's not how you want to start, with a headshot onto your support. John does take down Narbles, though. Rizzo gets taken out, so does Funny Goop, and I don't know, a couple of great knocks off the edge there from Marshall. He knocks himself and Frost off, and Boise State gets about 1 meter and probably could end it, and they will. Yep. I don't even think anybody got above 50%.
Yeah, no one on the side of Air Force got above 30, and no one on the side of Boise State got above 50, but it was a done deal. They won that team fight very quickly, and it's no wonder that Cringeable's gonna get the play of the game with that 4-man Diva Bomb that the Air Force seems like they didn't even know was there.
That was a great stun. I think that might have been Icy and Funny charging into each other. And when the Reinhardt's stunned, you have no way to block the Diva Bomb, and that's all she wrote for Boise State and Air Force. It's a quick 3-0 victory for the Broncos. They'll move their overall record in the Mountain West Spring Overwatch Tournament to 1-1 with a win over Air Force and a loss just previous to UNLV. But we expect Boise State to be right back in that championship, as we mentioned. The Mountain West kicking off with a 10-team Overwatch regular season. They'll round robin through. Top 4 teams will advance to the playoffs. And we fully expect Boise State and UNLV to be the last 2 teams standing. But maybe it's Colorado State, maybe it's somebody else in the Mountain West can have that historic rise. As we see the records here, actually looks like we maybe even dropped down to 9 teams with Nevada bowing out, and Boise State sitting at a 1-1 record, much like the rest of the Mountain West. San Jose 1-0 getting the bye, so Boise State sitting up in a very, very comfortable position. But everybody will be chasing UNLV. Well, as we put a bow on tonight's action, Brenner, your final thoughts for the Broncos' win over Air Force and your final ICCU player nomination for the evening.
Thoughts on it would have to be the Air Force has a lot to learn.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely have room for improvement, but they also did some things really well. They played around the Reinhardt as close as they could, and they definitely need to keep an eye out for those Diva Bombs. And then player of the game-wise, I'd have to probably give it to Pleb on that Baptiste on Kings Row. He did very well, got that triple, and then throughout the game just consistently was able to pick off members and keep his teammates alive. As we go over to it,
it will be Nerdy picking up the player of the game. You probably could have just given it to the Diva players, honestly, because Nerdy was great on the first 2 maps and then subbed out for Quidgeable, who I think got 6 kills and 2 bombs, which is quite the start. But Nerdy Bird will be the ICCU player of the game. Idaho Central Credit Union believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central is helping members achieve financial success. And Nerdy Bird is your Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game here in our last match of the night, a win over Air Force.
Yeah, it was a great showing for the Boise Orange team, and I hope that they can continue on this path of not even steamrolling the team, but learning a lot and able to try out the Boise Blue strategies and how they can put them into their own roster, because they all have their own different mains and plays. So hopefully that continues on in the future.
Well, that will wrap things up here tonight. Don't forget, we will end with our top 5 plays presented by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time with more than 10 jobs offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for. The Idaho Army National Guard is the best team out there. Reach out on Twitch at iGuard Gaming. A 2-1 overall night for Boise State. They end play versus undefeated, and they're 1-1 after week 1 of the Mountain West Overwatch regular season. And here is our top 5 plays of the Broncos' 3-0 win over Air Force, and have a good evening. Rezzo's just waiting with that minefield, maybe looking for a bit of a flank as a large bagel does get taken out. Ooh, here comes Rezzo. I don't think anyone on Air Force saw him. Here he comes. He's going to drop minefield right as he knocks Air Force into the rest of Boise State's team. He's going to get a triple for himself. Down here in short order, you see multiple members of Air Force incredibly low. Funny's the first one taken out. Prince threw down the immortality field. Wasn't enough to keep him alive. He will be able to take down the mech for Nerdy, and then the baby diva will fall as well. And strike available. They're going to get a grab as well. Nerdy will commit the self-destruct, takes down Brizzo. Soundbarrier comes out from a large bagel, but it only lands onto himself. But it does not matter. Boise State's still able to wrap things up here, and Air Force is starting to run out of time with only a minute left on the clock.
Play with your food and murder everybody. This ain't Call of Duty. You gotta cap the flag.
Sando's gonna go down. Oh, huge shatter flank there from Dirty, able to get a stun on to 4, and I think that's gonna kill any chances of a comeback here. For Air Force, and Boise State really only has that self-destruct. Jolty could use it now as the Diva Bomb's gonna go out. Funny gets stunned, and Quengible says, hey, nice 3K, how about 4? Frost gets one more, and a great stun onto Funny Goob means you can't put the shield up, and that's a 4-man Diva Bomb. Rezlo's just waiting with that minefield, maybe looking for a bit of a flank as a large bagel does get taken out. Ooh, here comes Rezo. I don't think anyone on Air Force saw him. Here he comes. He's going to drop minefield right as he knocks Air Force into the rest of Boise State's team. He's going to get a triple for himself.